Oh, yeah. What's going on, everybody out there? Welcome back to the Sin Bin Podcast, episode 7. It's coming at you live and direct. I am your host, Moodz. Yeah. And of course, I have all my sinners up in the house with me tonight. We got the Mexicans down below me, also known as JP. We got Mr. Saucedo, also known as Tyler. And we got Downey, the Shiner Hartman. What's going on, my sinners? Yeah.
Boys.
It feels like it's been so long since we've done this, but it hasn't. We do the same like every month.
I think it's just been like an extra week. It's been 5 weeks, but I felt like I didn't even know what I was doing in that intro. Like,
it does feel like it's been like 3 months for me, honestly.
Yeah. It's wild.
July must have been a long ass month.
Yeah.
It's been hot as fuck.
Definitely.
Dude, it has been fucking brutal hot, man.
We finally got some cool weather this week, but
it actually just started raining here the last couple days, which is good.
We had a little bit of rain yesterday. It was thunderstorming a little bit, so that was nice. But there was it was actually getting really dry, like earlier in the month. Like we were having like fires and shit.
Oof. It wasn't that bad for us.
Yeah, BC's like completely on fire again.
Well, yeah,
like it's bad.
We don't get anything like that.
It's fucking bad, dude. Like you can't even go anywhere. So, but enough of that fucking downbeat shit. What's going on, guys? Episode 7 here, Sin Bin. This is kind of a different episode. It's not your typical format where, you know, we kind of go round tree, review our picks from the month and stuff. We're going to do something a little bit different this month. We are still going to have a featured review, as you guys read in the title of, which is going to be The Sadness, the Taiwanese film from 2021. But,
so this is sorry to cut you off. This is the post partner label show, right? Because it wasn't a partner label month.
Mm-hmm.
Why we didn't have like each a pick or whatever.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's what I guess that's so that it kind of works out perfect because it's like a halfway point through the year. So we could kind of reflect a little bit and shit.
I've actually never done anything like this myself, and it's really weird because I've been watching a lot of random YouTubers today or last week and stuff, and I noticed a lot of people do like halfway, like my top 5 or top 10 favorite 4K releases of the halfway point of the year in 2024. Mm-hmm. And I was noticing a few lists like that, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting because that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're going to do our top 5 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases from 2024. And then we're going to do another section where we're going to do some recommendations of Vinegar Syndrome stuff and some partner label stuff, some current partner label stuff. That was kind of one of the stipulations that we discussed too, because as we know, if you're a fan of Vinegar Syndrome, you know they have a lot of partner labels and they've had a lot come and go over the years. So, which is unfortunate, but so those recommendations are going to be from the labels that are still readily available on the site and still partnered up with Vinegar Syndrome, if that makes any sense. So yeah, kind of a different thing. It made me realize, like, I mean, like Vinegar Syndrome's put out a lot of good stuff this year. I know it's only halfway through the year, but I was like, I don't know, I was kind of heeing and hawing with my top 5 lists and stuff. I didn't really know what exactly to put on there because we've reviewed some films this year that I think mostly from the Cinematographe line. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
But the point is, we've done a few of those reviews and stuff, and they've been a little bit underwhelming. And that's still Vinegar Syndrome. It's just one of their sub labels, but yeah, they've dropped some good stuff. I'm curious to see what people's lists are tonight.
I'm curious to know because, like, personally, like I went back. We actually started the show with November releases of last year, so our episode 1,
which fucked me up big time because I compiled my list thinking that those were eligible, and then right away I had to cut off 2. Right, because I was thinking the way my brain was working, it was all the releases from the time we started the show. So the first episode, I think I had done Redneck Zombies. And there was a couple other ones, but that was a real, like, that Black Friday sale or the whatever the films from that was released was really good.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, like, so far this year, like 6 months in, I was looking back at everything that came out, and like although there are some solid shit, I do think this year has been a little bit weaker compared to last year's.
You know what made me realize? I couldn't remember because this is why I don't do top releases of the year anymore, because I buy so much stuff throughout the year. I can't remember if it came out in the current year or not. So I put everything on the way on the shelves and I'm like, fuck, I can't remember. And I just can't go through shit. But with Vinegar Syndrome, I'm such a fucking hoarder that I just went back into my sale history, right back to the point of what would be eligible. And because I bought I got all the packages, right? So I have all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff and a fair amount of partner label. But that's how I did it. I just went back. But then it made me realize exactly your point. I was like, been a little bit of a week here. There's been some good stuff. And I was like, damn, dude, I've spent a lot of fucking money just on Vinegar Syndrome, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think that last year, like I was looking at some of the releases that came out last year. Last year was a very more strong year, but we're only halfway through. So we still have, the rest of the year which, by the way, I mean, the releases that they announced this past month, I thought there's some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's interesting, you know, like I was watching some videos and I saw some people talking about the releases and they're like, oh man, like, I don't even know why I subscribed. I'm like, really? I'm like,
that's like every
just because you don't know what something is just because you don't know what something is doesn't mean it's not going to be a banger.
Right? I don't understand, because it's like, what Vinegar Syndrome is. Like, how could this be the month of all months that you're like, why do I subscribe? Like, every month is the same. It's exactly just got horror, exploitation, action.
It's the same thing goes for like people complaining about like The Last Drive-In, right? Like people complain all the time, like, oh, dude,
I'm literally wearing that shit.
I know. They showed this, like they need to show classics. And then you look at the lineup and you're like, dude, they've literally done the same thing since 1985 or whenever Joe Bob first started. Like there's some classics, there's some indie garbage, there's some low budget slashers, there's some highbrow artsy movies, like and then there's like stuff like Dr. Giggles, and then a modern film like Suitable Flesh. And look, last week was Carnival of Souls, the original. I mean, that's classic. Like it's always a mix, and people are like, because the first episode that they did this year was like Roger Corman's Bucket of Blood and the Sword and Sandals movie, and then it was Rotten Tail, which is a super low budget indie film, and then they did Toxic Avenger, and everybody was mad because it's like all, I don't know what people want. Like the movie doesn't really matter that much. Like it's about the viewing experience.
But for somebody like, I mean, I think people forget that the viewing is just part of it. The other half of it is listening to Joe Bob discuss the film and talk about it and shit like that. Like, I mean, there's probably some films out there he's passed on because he's like, yeah, I can talk about this, but is it really going to be that interesting and entertaining? You pick films that are entertaining to talk about too, right? Yeah. That's the point of his show.
And they do a lot of like gimmicky stuff now too, where like Joe Bob's Summer School was really fun, where, he had the 3 weeks of summer school themed things.
Did he actually play Summer School?
No, he did.
He didn't do Summer School.
He did Ice Cream Man.
He did.
That's awesome.
No, he did Dr. Giggles.
Oh, Ice Cream Man is the old like Monster Vision Summer School.
Yeah, Suitable Flesh, and then Donnie Darko, which Donnie Darko was like on physics and stuff. So it was really cool, man. The Donnie Darko episode was awesome. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But before that, he did like Graduation Day and Death Spa and Autopsy of Jane Doe, Toxic Avenger. I mean, like this is like such a good mix of different shit. Like you got older stuff, you got newer stuff,
right?
You got indie stuff, you got classics,
you gotta have that. You gotta have that mix up, man. That blend works well.
But the same thing with Vinegar Syndrome. Like I'll see people say like, oh man, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm like, bro, that's literally where they started.
That's where they live.
Yeah, like when has Vinegar Syndrome ever been like a Scream? Like people talk about it as if it's like a Scream Factory that was released
it's like
Halloween and fucking Jaws and Day of the Dead.
It's because people just want the same movies fucking re-released over and over and over again, man. It's like when Arrow, the same thing happened to Arrow too, because Arrow started out releasing like a lot of Italian stuff and a lot of cult shit and stuff, and then they broke out of that mold. And then they started releasing a lot of other type of films, even started up different sub labels with Arrow Academy, and it was more kind of like their Criterion side of their thing. And then they broke out into like whole different genres and comedies and fucking, and people, I remember even years ago were tripping dicks on that. And they're like, well, fuck, Arrow's not the same. I'm like, yeah, but dude, you can only release so much stuff. I don't think people realize how rights work and stuff. Like they can only get so much stuff too, right? So this is what they
well, dude,
this is
I
what
mean,
they
at
can
this
get.
point, like most of the movies we grew up with that are classics have been released and released and released again and released again. Like, I mean, if you don't own fucking Halloween 2 by now, like,
we're never gonna.
Well, that's kind of like my point of like, you know, which plays in actually to like how my top 5 works and stuff. Like the most exciting releases for me, and especially in this bona fide golden age of collecting that we're in right now, we are getting shit. And a lot of people laugh at the fact that I use the adjective shit. We're getting a lot of movies that would never have been released 10 years ago, obviously, because because we're getting so much stuff on physical media now that has never had releases, which is incredible. But we're getting even upgrades of shit that, you know, you would never think would make it to 4K, but we're getting so much volume of things that have never had physical releases, and people are complaining about that. Those are the things that get me excited. Like it doesn't matter if it's Kino, Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, Massacre Video, fucking, you know, Unearthed Films, Synapse. These companies are all banging out shit that like hasn't been in. They're not re-releasing stuff that's been, you know, released by 1,000 different companies over and over again. You know, that's what I like. But when you're dropping shit that I've never heard of, and I'm not trying to say like I know fucking everything, I do know a lot. And if you're dropping shit that I've never heard of, and it gets like that gets me so excited because it's from a label I love. Like we were just talking before the show about what we're reviewing next month and stuff, and I was like talking about the movie that I picked. They Call Me Macho Woman, and to my amazement, I did not know that Troman distributed that movie in the 80s. Tony recently watched it. He said it was fucking phenomenal, and I was like, because I read up on it, and I was like, I got to do this shit. Like this is what gets me so excited. I mean, this had like a shitty Troma DVD back in the day. No one's ever talked about it. It's, you know, it is what it is kind of thing.
And,
but it gets me excited that this went from like that DVD to like a great release. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. But
and Vinegar Syndrome does do like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and like Amityville Horror.
Of course, you have
like
to do that.
They have a few tentpole releases that are like popular films, but
Roadhouse.
I like that they don't do
Existence.
Roadhouse,
which we can't talk about.
I think Roadhouse is probably the biggest mainstream movie that they've ever released.
I would agree for sure. That was a huge release.
That blew my mind. Yeah.
If it's a movie that like someone's dad watched, you know, or like my grandfather, and Vinegar Syndrome releases it, it's probably a pretty mainstream movie, right? Which Roadhouse would be. Roadhouse might be the only fucking movie in the entire Vinegar Syndrome catalog that he's ever seen, besides 5 Card. He actually had seen 5 Card Stud, the Western that I reviewed that time.
I mean, in theory though, like in theory, like their Ultra line is really bizarre. Like, not only did they do Roadhouse, I mean, they did Sidekicks, which I wouldn't say is as famous as Roadhouse at all, but it was a popular kind of kids movie back in the 90s and stuff. But Showgirls,
I worship that movie.
But Showgirls was a fucking massive movie. Everybody knew Showgirls because of its, you know, it was very infamous for having Jesse from Saved by the Bell naked in the film and stuff. But this is the same line that fucking has Cloak and Dagger and Six String Samurai on it. Like, really? Six String Samurai? Yeah. That's some pretty cultish shit right there. Read to Roadhouse, to like Navy SEALs, which is a pretty popular fucking movie.
Yeah, Six String Samurai sticks out like a sore thumb in that line of movies because it's like all like studio classics.
Like,
so,
what would you say about the Beastmaster? What would you say about the Beastmaster? Because that was the first release, and I was like, and I love that movie. I wish that Vinegar Syndrome could acquire the rights to the sequels because I actually like the sequels. It just it sucks that they never put them out. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
I've got all 3 on VHS.
The thing with that line, what I think that line feels like is a lot, except for Six String Samurai, is movies that ran on HBO. That's what that line feels like.
Yeah.
You know, right. But when you start with Beastmaster, right? Like that Beastmaster was on HBO every fucking day. Dude.
Do you think Daryl was on there though?
Fuck yeah, it was. I watched that all the time growing up.
But I know Cloak and Dagger as a kid because I remember watching that shit when I was like fucking, when did it come out, in 84 or 85? Like I remember watching on the movie channel that she was on constant rotation. I can see that one playing on there too, but it's like a kids movie, but it's like, I don't know. Cloak and Dagger's fucking fun, man. That when that shit got announced, I was like, that was nostalgia overload for myself. Very interesting line.
But I would love to see a Beastmaster 2 and 3 release.
Fuck yeah, dude. I know that Umbrella released all three in a DVD kind of box set, DVD box set kind of thing. And I think that they're the only DVD releases of 2 and 3.
So we're getting two Cinematographe releases next month.
Yeah. Oh, so I was thinking this. I didn't know when I was going to bring it up, but we have not like discussed like Blast Embrace as like the latest Cinematographe. Because as we left the last show, that's when Touch was the one what was it? Dangerous Game is the one I had reviewed. That, and I remember we left that show was like. The next one.
We managed to talk about pretty much all of them so far because you did Little Darlings, which I need to pick up. That's the one I don't. It's the only one I don't have, and apparently it's the best one.
It is the best one.
I'm just fucking. I'm a glutton for. I'm magnetic to shit. I guess I'm just magnetic to shit. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, the only one we haven't talked about was Going South. I think, right?
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure we all commented that watched it, like including Dan. Like that movie sucks.
Yeah, it's not really worth talking about.
See, like movies like Touch was like it was worth the watch, but it all left us confused. Like
it was a nothing movie. Like I'm never gonna watch that movie again. And like,
it was so disappointing because it's one of those films that has so much going for it, and it gives you nothing in the end.
Right?
It
pulls all the punches.
It does. It pulls every fucking punch.
It started out kind of like to me like it was gonna be like kind of like that like Coen Brothers like. Post like Tarantino like slapsticky thing, and then like it just like stopped doing that. I was like, oh okay, I would have been fine with it. It was just this like rip off movie, but I don't know what they were going for in that movie.
Yeah. I mean Red Rock West. I'm glad that I own that. I would actually rewatch that one. So far, that's the favorite one that I've watched. The one I haven't seen is Little Darlings. That's like, the only one I don't have.
If they put out movies every month that were the quality of like Red Rock West, I'd be all over this line.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
I like neo-noir.
I feel like these next two, if one of the two isn't like something that we were all like really want.
So I think one of them is going to be Thieves Like Us by Robert Altman, and I will 100% buy that one. That one, that'll be a good one. I'd be happy with that.
Which movie by Altman?
Thieves Like Us.
Nice.
They said a Shelley Duvall movie was going to be coming out.
Right. Okay, I haven't seen that.
She's in that. So she's in that, or it could be Buffalo Bill or I forgot whatever it's called with Paul Newman in it. She's also in that one. But Thieves Like Us was on Kino and like went out of print, like a lot of these movies that were so it fits that, and that's like that actually like fits the line perfectly. Like Robert Altman is, like, and like this like probably Robert Altman's like 12th best movie, but he's like great, so it doesn't even matter.
Right?
Yeah, his 12th best movie is still like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I love Altman. Altman's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, he's awesome.
If it's that, I'll be excited. They're both Altman movies, so if it's one of those two, I'll be excited. But I would definitely rather be Thieves Like Us.
I think they said 1 week from today's Cinematographe brings 2 new releases: the UHD debut of an overlooked gem from a Hollywood maverick, and a Blu-ray debut of an underseen rarity from an independent auteur.
Oh fuck!
So one is a Blu-ray debut, so it was never on Blu-ray before.
Okay, yeah, so cool. it would be the other one, Hollywood Maverick. Like that's Robert Altman for sure.
So Thieves Like Us came out in 1974. It's crazy. So it was after fucking Images. I wasn't sure. Yeah. Long Goodbye. Sure.
It's like I feel like his big break was 1975 with or was it 1976? Whatever your Nashville came out in.
1975. Three Women is
but the Long
77.
Goodbye, I think the Long Goodbye was 1974.
Long Goodbye was 1973.
1973. Oh yeah, that was that. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like it.
Yeah, he's just the king of the 1970s.
He's just
Three Women. That movie is
Three Women. Three Women's probably my favorite movie by him.
Speaking of Arrow Academy, right? They put that one out, and that was what I was talking about. Like great movies. That was kind of like their Criterion line.
Yeah. Criterion actually put out 3 Women.
That was the first time I'd watched that movie, was a few years back, and I fucking fell in love with it, man. I was like, that's so good.
I love that
really
movie
good,
so
man.
Yeah. What else? Shortcuts is probably 3 Women, Shortcuts, in Nashville. Those are probably like my big 3 from him. He's got so many good movies though.
Yeah.
Long Goodbye too. Oh man, I saw that in theaters. That movie's like phenomenal.
Did you guys see that Vinegar Syndrome's also putting out Hell's Trap next month?
What is it? Hell's
Trampa Infernal, that last of the Galindo movies from that Mexican box set. So they like during the subscriber week, if you clicked on like the subscriber option, they give you like an outline of what's coming out for the rest of the year. And in August, they said Hell's Trap is coming out. Have you guys ever seen that or heard of it?
No.
No.
So it's got like the same guy that was in like the Vacation of Terror movies, and it's about him and a group of like paintballers that are going to the woods to hunt a bear because a bear needs killed.
With a paintball gun?
Well, they're actually shooting, but they're sharpshooters or whatever. So they're just trying to like get a big game hunt. You know what I mean? There's like a reward or whatever. So they're in the woods and they end up getting stalked by like this crazy like war vet that lives in the woods. He's got like a white mask, but he's also got a hand with like razor fingers too, kind of like Freddy Krueger.
This sounds good. I'm down with that.
So I'm
That's
really
next
stoked
month,
for that too.
August.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fucking speaking of releases,
you got your package. What's in it?
Got to do it. I don't know. Let's see.
Mine still has.
I'm only doing this right now because I literally went to go drop off my kid at ball before we recorded, and I came home and this shit was sitting on my doorstep, and I was gone for like 15 minutes. That's fucking crazy. Okay.
All right. Well, let's see what's inside.
All right. Well, speaking of next month's releases, so we can kind of break this down a little bit. Sorry for all the bubble. I'm not sorry that Vinegar Syndrome actually takes care of their fucking shit though, but so the last
you did grab that.
Yeah, grab The Last Embrace. We'll see. That's my pick for next month. They call me Macho Woman from the VSA. Number 45 is crazy. And Reptilicus, which is JP's. I did not realize this was going to be in a hard box.
It's 4K.
Wow, man. Like they are just putting, that's ridiculous, man. Okay.
I know that movie of all movies getting
I know. Have you ever seen it before, JP?
Didn't Scream Factory release that?
No. Yeah, they released it in a double with the tentacles.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a double feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I forgot that double feature.
Yeah, I have that double feature. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but I've been
tentacles a couple different times
since that probably came out.
What the fuck else?
Tentacole.
Oh yeah, the AGFA release. Amanda and the Alien, of course, right?
That was pretty solid. I watched ridiculous. That one too.
Now, this one I was super intrigued about, man, was The Lost Prophet.
I thought about getting that.
I didn't end up picking that up, but I
grabbed it.
Yeah, from VH Shitfest. And that one really intrigued me. I was like, okay. Okay, so this is from Saturn Score, and I collect everything from them, but they always have the worst covers. I love them. When a Zombie Dream. That's amazing.
I skipped that one.
Here's the infamous Blood Cult, which I'm a big fucking fan of. I love Blood Cult. That's
love the art on that.
And then this right here had me just flipping, man. It was like the Intrepidoids punks? Intrepidos?
They're Mexican, right? Right? Aren't they Mexican?
Yeah, Mexican.
Of the punks. So 2 different films, 2 Mexican. Are they like post-apocalyptic or are they like modern? Like, are they set in a modern world, or are they like set? To me, it looks like it could be post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
it does look post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
I hope it's the Mexican Mad Max. Holy shit!
Yeah, man. Oh, got myself another patch because I got points I got to use up. And then we got the new one from Bleeding Skull. Way bad stuff. This cover.
I can't wait to watch that shit. I got it too.
I actually laughed out loud at this. I was like, oh my God, that is the worst cover. Fucking amazing. And then here's our review for next month, a Chinese torture chamber story 1 and 2. So I don't know really much about these. Does anybody actually know anything about these?
Nope.
Because this was like I saw this and I was like, what the fuck is this?
They look pretty like cool.
Like, this is dope. Yeah.
So are they by chance like Cat 3 films at all?
I think one of them's a Cat 3.
And you know what? The first, it says Cat 3 films of Wang Ying.
Oh, there you go.
So at least one of them is okay. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe the second one they dumped it down a little bit. Probably the first one, but so yeah. Anyways, that's the
So yeah, that'll be the featured. I actually got my package here too. So I grabbed this one. You didn't get the VSL Moodz?
No, I'm opening up the second package because they forgot packages. They forgot to send me one of them, so I emailed them and they came in the same day.
Oh, okay. So
here it is. And I'm like, really? How the fuck? This one shipped 3 days before this one shipped. I swear yesterday. They like expressed it over to me.
I'm the only one who didn't get that.
Well, I grabbed it because Tyler said he was going to review it, and I was like, you know what? I read on it, and I was like, it actually sounds pretty cool.
Honestly, I like the VSL line so far.
It's cool so far, yeah.
Yeah, the VSL line's pretty cool.
They name drop a bunch of like famous like Polish directors, and I was like, "Ooh!" And I started reading. It was like it was banned for 8 years. It's like, whoa.
Got this one. So same as Moodz. You didn't pick up the 8 Eyes release?
No, I didn't. But I've been hearing from a lot of people that it's actually pretty good, and now I kind of feel stupid for not grabbing it. I
knew about it from last year because it played at Fantasia.
But Vinegar Syndrome actually produced that movie, right?
Yeah, that's and there's like actually another film that they produced this year that's at Fantasia too. So there's a.
And I learned that after. I should have fucking did my homework, and if I didn't know they produced, I would have been like, okay, well, I'll check it out. But I actually heard 2 times this week that people said it was really good, and I was like, really?
Yeah, it is a Vinegar Syndrome Pictures release.
Right.
Yeah, their new movies, Black Eyed Susan, right?
Yeah,
I watched that.
Yeah, was it good?
Yeah, it's pretty good actually.
Cool.
Yeah,
that means we'll love it.
Reticulous.
Man, what a release for that! That's crazy.
I picked up Jaws 2. No, I'm kidding.
Jaws 2 rocks. I don't give a fuck what anybody
I like
says. It's like a slasher movie.
Woman. And then Blood Cult as well. And then Chinese Torture Chamber. And then I think the only other thing I grabbed was the Stuck. The Last Embrace. I know you two didn't grab it, right?
No.
Nah, we're salty.
You gave up on the line.
Yeah. I was like, if I didn't want to buy this for $9.99 from Kino, like I probably shouldn't buy this.
Right, I felt the exact same way. If I can pass on it for $9, I can pass
Is it
on
really
it for $30.
that? Like, what the fuck?
It's like it just
$10 Kino, I'd be like, whatever, I'll give it a shot for $10. But
well, here's the thing, right? So, I mean, I'm sure these releases are gonna be very expensive in the future. So, even if you did buy it, it'll be worth more than what you paid for it eventually.
Yeah. Problem is, I like to take my stuff out and play with
it. even opened, you know. I was looking at some of those VSA releases, and like the early VSAs sell for like $65, $75. The Vice Academy set's like $200.
Right. I'm still so mad they never put out fucking 4 through 6.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a 4 through 6.
Yeah, there is. Maybe I'm the only person who's asking for it.
This has got to be the best sub label though, man. The Geyser one though. I mean, they're just dropping shit that like
I was
constantly keeping me and Tony on hard.
This year, I think the Geyser releases have been the highlight of the Vinegar Syndrome this year. Personally. So
well, Redneck Zombies was in my list until I realized it wasn't even eligible. Like, fuck, son of a bitch.
Yeah. What a great like choice for a first release for that line too. Perfect that disc was so fucking loaded.
Loaded, dude. It took me like 2 days to watch all the fucking features.
Right.
It's crazy, man. I'm glad I did though. I learned a ton about that movie, man. Like a ton. Can never learn too much. Gotta love it. So, oh yeah, speaking of fucking releases, I mean, this is kind of unrelated to Vinegar Syndrome, but did you guys hear about the whole fucking debacle with the Jaws 3 4K transfer?
Yeah, but I didn't know if it was real or just something that people were saying.
Dude, so I watched 2 videos on it today, and they were very similar type reviews. And like, it's 2 reviewers that are, they try to be super positive about shit. And like, so I took it serious. And like, dude, it's fucking funny, man. Like, the fact that they basically didn't upscale with AI on this, but what happened with it though, like, so people realized that the faces in the background, like at the SeaWorld scenes, if you pause it, like all the faces, they all look like demons and shit. It's so fucked up. Like somehow
like they all watched the tape from The Ring.
Yeah, it's like it morphed everyone's faces and shit. Like in 4K, like if you zoom in, it shouldn't look like that, right? But I guess there's like a bunch, and everyone's like, "What?" The one common thing was like, "Yo, the transfer's really shitty." And I'm like, I kept thinking to myself, it's because it was shot on fucking, different cameras for the whole 3D effect and stuff. It's like all those 3D films from that era.
There's no like regular version of that movie that looks good, is there? No, like they all look like shit.
Well, they do, and pretty much every movie from that era. Like if you look at, Friday the 13th Part 3, if you look at Parasite 3D, if you look at fucking Amityville 3, Jaws 3, they're all done at the same time, shot very similar. None of those transfers to this day have correlated well, or have not translated well from the day because they were shot that way.
I mean,
right? With that 3D effects and stuff.
I think a couple of them look pretty good, but I've always thought, I've just always assumed that like there was no regular version of Jaws 3 because I think that
Amityville 3, you can still see it's all fuzzy and shit because of how
they couldn't I think Friday 3 though, I think is the exception. I think there's just a regular film version of that.
It looks better, but even the transfer on that is still probably, it's not, I mean, out of the first 4 films, it's probably the weakest one, which I have no problem with the transfer at all. I'm not saying it's a bad transfer. It's definitely not like Amityville 3 and Jaws 3D. The Blu-ray is pretty, it kind of looks like a DVD from what I remember. But kind of feels like
I don't ever really remember Jaws 3 looking good, even like on TV. Like I feel like it always looked like shit.
But you guys got to see this though. Like
I saw the pictures. I saw them. Yeah,
I was like blown away, and I was like, but I think, and someone brought up a good point too. They're like, well, Universal kind of thought that like, they knew the transfer wasn't going to turn out well. So they're just like, well, we're gonna do a scientific project on this one. We're gonna use some AI, and it just failed. It just did not work because apparently the transfers. And it's funny because the same reviewer, he reviewed the first Jaws, second, and he reviewed basically all of them, and he said Jaws: The Revenge, the transfer on that is fucking ridiculously good.
Of course,
it's so fucking funny. He's like, it might even be the best of the 4. And I'm like, shut up. It looks better than the actual Jaws movie. I'm like, no way. But anyways, he's just like
this AI shit. Is this crap that people are like noticing just like with the naked eye? Or are you like putting a magnifying glass up to it noticing?
No, see, the one guy, he said that he wouldn't have probably known. But then again, I mean, it takes the average viewer. Are you watching shit in the background as much as you're watching the forefront of the film?
No,
probably not.
So. No.
Most people watch what's in the forefront, right? Like most people are watching me right now. They're not looking at Joel Ortiz's this big box. They're not noticing shit in the background, right? Where I think that exactly my point, right? No one's noticing that. But there is a select few people that do look at shit in the background. Like I'm one of those people right now where I can't stop looking at poster. I always notice shit in movies in the background. So without me if I hadn't known, I might have noticed. I'm not going to say I would have, but I might have noticed. But there was somebody out there that obviously noticed and paused and like took some screenshots. And dude, it literally looks like everyone's faces are morphed into demons. If you guys ever done mushrooms before and had mushrooms where they were kind of bad and like but in a good way where you just kept seeing fucking faces morphing into demons and shit. That's exactly what it reminded me of. I was having flashbacks.
Horrible.
I fucking had the worst trip one time, and when I was watching these stills, I was having fucking flashbacks of that, man. I was like, holy fuck, that's exactly what I was seeing. I was having fucking non-flashbacks of fucking demon faces, and I'm like, the Jaws 3D, the 4K of Jaws 3D is giving me fucking flashbacks but it is really bizarre. But like nobody can explain why that would happen in an upscale. Like if you're doing a 4K transfer, why would that happen? Like, I don't understand.
Really I don't know.
Right?
Is it like AI upscale? I mean,
well, because they give the power to the AI, which I'm not really too sure on exactly how AI can do a transfer for. Like, I mean, I'm very confused on this, man, to be honest. But something obviously went a little bit wrong, because those faces, if you do a side scan, like if you do a comparison to like the DV, the faces don't look like that. They're still not clear in the background, but they don't look like demons.
Really they don't have an eyeball right here and
dude,
here. And
everyone's face looks like, it almost looks like hollow eyes, and the faces are morphed. It's fucking creepy, dude. I almost want to get the Blu-ray because I almost want to get this 4K, just because it's going to be one of the most infamous 4K releases because of how bad it is and like how bizarre it is. It's like the first AI done one that just went horribly wrong. But again, if somebody out there can explain to me how AI can do these transfers and how it even works, because my mind's blown. I don't fucking get it, man.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's beyond us at this point, and it's getting crazier.
I'll probably pick it up at some sort of Prime Day sale or something next year.
Oh, I was bugging you about picking up the Jaws 2 4K. I'm like, nobody needs Jaws 2 on 4K.
I like Jaws 2, man.
Jaws 2 rocks.
Yeah, Jaws 2 is like, I don't know. I've always enjoyed Jaws 2. I've never disliked it.
I find it really boring. I don't know why. I said that when we did the franchise years ago. I even said, I was like, it's not a bad movie. It's just boring to me. Like it's a well done movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could lose 15 minutes for sure.
Yeah. But anyways, that was a little bit off topic. So, you guys,
Jaws
3D, man, the infamous 4K. Fuck, if it goes down, if I can find it for like $15, I'm just gonna grab. I want to see it for myself. I really do.
So, you also just like Jaws 3.
But I actually do like the movie, which is really funny because people always give me shit. I hate when people say, it drives me nuts. It's happened to me the other day too. They're like, oh fuck, how can you say that's the best? And I'm like, I didn't. I said it's one of my favorites. Do you not understand the difference between favorites and best?
I think it's the worst.
I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, I just like it. I just like that movie. Like people drive me nuts, man.
I also think it's the worst, but I still like it.
Really? You think?
I love it. I love it in 3D, and it's got great 3D effects.
Yeah, actually, the 3D I've heard is actually pretty good. I've never actually watched it in 3D, but really, I think Revenge is actually pretty bad.
It is bad, but I think
it's
Jaws 3 is bad as well.
Yeah, it's bad, but I find Jaws 3 just a little bit more boring.
Yeah, I find Jaws 3 to be, I don't know, just more entertaining than Revenge. I don't know, Revenge is weird, but Revenge does have Michael Caine, which is kind of the savior, I guess, which he's been on record saying he's never seen that movie.
Doesn't surprise me.
Typical paycheck.
He did so many paycheck movies.
What a class act, though, man. The guy did so many great movies. Like, I'm just doing paychecks now. Fuck whatever.
Hell yeah, respect.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what I would be.
I would love to know what Michael Caine got paid to do Jaws: The Revenge, because I'm sure that movie had a budget.
Yeah, there's a quote of him saying, "I never saw the movie, but I saw my mother's house that the movie paid for, or whatever, something like that."
All right, well, he got a good chunk of change to buy his mom a house then.
Dude, that makes me laugh, man. That's so funny.
Right, because like it's him, the wife from the first one, and like Mario Van Peebles. Like it's got like no star power in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Besides him.
Well, Van Peebles, I guess, he was probably a little past his prime at that point too, right?
Mario, the kid? Or are you thinking Melvin?
No, Mario. Because like, didn't he do some movies earlier? Or maybe I'm getting him fucked up with his.
I feel like Mario really hit it big in like the early 90s.
Oh, maybe it was early 90s.
Like after Jaws of Revenge.
Could be.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's just random talk right now.
Right. Let's just talk about Mario Van Peebles for the next 30 minutes.
That's fucking hilarious. But anyways, we should probably wrap up the intro here. You guys want to get into these top 5 favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases from the first half of 2024?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we did a quick little ramanizer before the show, and Tony, you are starting us off.
All right, so the way I made my list is basically movies that, to me, felt more important as a release than some of the other ones. Like if it got like a re-release, I'm not really going to count that because it's like whatever. I've had that movie like 3 times. So that being said, my number 5 is Spectres / Maya, because they're 2 late 80s Italian movies I've never seen. They never made it past VHS, and this is their first release ever, and they're pretty fun. And just like Italian movies from the late 80s, they're really fucking crazy, and I don't even remember them now, like, 3 months after watching them? But yeah.
Well, we did do full reviews on that. So if anybody's curious, check out one of those past episodes.
Exactly. And I'm sure I said a lot of cool things about it.
Right.
I like Spectres. That was JP's. I did Maya. I preferred Maya to Spectres, but
I think I like them just about the same.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, it's a perfect double feature. They fit so well together.
They should. It's the same director, same kind of feel to the films and stuff. Like it's a great double feature. It was a perfect thing to put together. Great release.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think I like Maya better. I liked like the hoodlum characters. Yeah, like I like the characters more in Maya more than Spectre. Spectres just seems so like normal. You have like Donald Pleasance and like all these other normal people. The Maya characters are way more colorful.
Although when Donald Pleasance was doing those like later 80s Italian films, he was always hamming it up. He always like he never called it in. I always liked it, man. He always put that little extra oomph into his performance. It was fun, man.
All right, so my number 4 is the only one that's actually had a disc release, as far as I know. Well, in the United States, at least. And I'm picking Southern Comfort, the VSU from January, because it's one of my favorite movies, especially of the backwoods variety. And that is an amazing release, and I highly recommend that.
JP,
if you're a fan.
Sometimes I think you're confused, man.
About what?
Just what he thinks is what he likes and what he dislikes.
I'm confused. I'm confused about what I like.
What, do you not like Southern Comfort? I can't even remember.
Not really, bro.
No, he's not. And like, honestly,
that's so crazy.
I had a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
I just think it's like, it's so overrated.
No, Walter Hill is like one of the best directors, man. Like, honestly,
I like Walter Hill, but it's not his best.
That guy literally had one of the craziest runs, man.
So good. And Southern Comfort has like one of my all-time favorite groups of dudes. Like Powers Booth, fucking Fred Ward, Peter Coyote. Like it just doesn't fucking stop.
Honestly, it might be like a top 2 or 3 film for me from Walter Hill.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure, absolutely.
I don't even know how to break it down, man. Like I love the Warriors, I love the Long Riders, like Streets of Fire.
I think I would give it to the Warriors just because the Warriors is like so unique and just like
48 Hours, man. Extreme Prejudice. There's so many good movies.
I like Extreme Prejudice a lot. What other
Hard Times?
Streets of Fire.
I said Streets of Fire.
I like The Driver a lot too.
I just watched The Driver for the first time actually, last year, the year before. I'd never seen it before. I really enjoyed it though. It's good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
One that's good, that's underrated, no one talks about, is Undisputed. With Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes. I love that movie. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Number 3 is Little Darlings. So I first watched this movie as a kid and I really liked it, and I literally did not see it again until this came out. And
you took your movie's pants off. The J card.
Yeah, you like that? Look, you can actually see the back now. Look at it. Isn't it nice?
Yeah.
What'd you do with the J card?
I just put it in a folder with like all my other cards.
Yeah, some people just collect. There's some collectors out there that like have to have them on there, or else I've seen people talk about it not being complete. They can't have it even on the shelf. I'm like,
all right, like this is such a huge fucking pet peeve of mine, and I always take the damn J cards off, and I'm so fucking pissed that they have to put the damn number on the damn J card.
I know. I made a video about that.
Hate that so much.
I actually kept the J cards on those ones just because they already had the sticker on both. You know, when you get some J cards, it's stuck on the front but not on the back, so it just like flops around. Yeah. With those Cinematographe releases, it's stuck on both sides, so it actually stays. Which I was like, whatever, fuck, I'm fine with that.
It's just corny. Why did you do this?
What's funny about this one though is like the first one I get, the sticker was on there so lopsided that the back was like bowed out like this. Yeah. So I almost had like no choice but to like take it off anyways.
Yeah, Arrow's bad for that.
Wait, didn't you just say that was in a folder?
Yeah, I keep it in a folder, but you know, I grab all my stuff. You know, I wanted to show how much I hated the bottom.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, how the hell did you get that so fast?
Yeah, I just. But yeah, great movie. Looks amazing in 4K. Love the soundtrack. Christy McNichol, Tatum O'Neal's great. Fucking Matt Dillon doing his usual. I'm a young dumbass. He plays that really well. That's like his shtick, man. Like he was such a young fucking idiot.
Isn't he Dallas in Outsiders?
Yes, and another young idiot.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that like Dallas and the Outsiders and his character in this movie like seem like they could beat the same person.
It does. Not even
like he's like a little bit younger, just as stupid, but not as like depraved.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my number 3. My number 2 is a slasher movie I talked about already, The House Where Death Lives.
Really?
And I picked this because for me, like such a slasher enthusiast, the fact that in 2024 I can see a slasher from the early 80s I've never seen before in my life.
So that is a slasher film?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think there was like a body count of like 6 or 7.
Were you not present during the review, JP, that we did on this very show?
Dude, I was present, but like I don't even remember like shit that I watched like 3 days ago.
No, like someone commented, I think a couple times, JP's probably he was probably watching his TV or playing Mortal Kombat or something.
Listen, I look back at those shows, I'm like, dude, I look like a fucking idiot. Like I was so uninterested in what's going on, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. So yeah, if
you're so used to your audio podcast, you're not used to like being on camera for this.
Yeah.
Well, but the first half of the intro, you were looking up. I thought you were watching the fucking Ninja Turtles or something over there, man.
I have ADHD, bro. So like I'm like constantly fidgeting and like can't like just sit still. So I get like distracted easily.
Dude, drink a beer or something. Calm your nerves. Like Jesus, man.
Yeah. I play with my little hair tie because I'm the same exact way.
My new thing is playing with knives.
Hell yeah, butterfly knives.
That's a butterfly. That's what that was. I was actually going to ask you earlier if that was a butterfly. Because you're like holding this up.
I got this one too.
That was my fascination. But I was like,
hell yeah.
You know,
I had one of those when I was a kid. I had one of those when I was a kid, but a comb came out.
Yeah, I remember
classic. All right, so yeah, House Where Death Lives. It's great, good atmosphere. It's great it takes place at like an old mansion and shit. It's got the redhead from Squirm, and I like her a lot. So
it's one of those movies like I watched and I was like, yeah, and then we talked about it and I liked it more, and I kept thinking about it. So like I must like it.
That was the one I started watching that one that week and never finished it. I remember that now.
It's a perfect movie to throw on like on a weekend like afternoon. Like if you're just like bored, you wake up in the morning, throw something like that on. It's not that thrilling. The body count's not huge. It's not super gory. There's a really cool dummy death in it that looks like a real human to me.
Dude, it's actually one of those dummy deaths where I was like, I literally didn't know what to I was like, dude, that was real. That was a real body.
Yeah, because it looked like it weighed over 100 pounds.
Fuck, man. It was, ugh.
Yeah, I had the same experience with a movie that I watched that I'll talk about later where I was like, dude, that was real. I'm pretty sure that was real, bro. But I'll tell you what it is later.
I've seen a million dummy deaths, man. That one in that film looked like a real body. Like, I just can't explain it. I just had that feeling.
Yeah, I would recommend people to watch it just for that death. A person getting tossed out of a second-story window and just falls like a fucking torpedo dive into the ground. And it just looks like a man just like eating so much shit.
Oh yeah, man.
All right, but yeah, very happy with that one. And my number one, another movie that seemingly has been forgotten about, but now has like the most lavish release you can think of. Fucking Witch Story. This movie on 4K looks incredible. It's fucking gory. The body count is huge. The package is amazing. I love all the art that comes with it. And yeah, like the soundtrack on this one is cool. And it feels just like a movie that fits in with like Welcome to Spring Break and Primal Rage and all those other like American Italian movies from the late 80s. And it's just a fucking blast. And that's probably going to be the movie from the first 6 months that I'm gonna watch more often.
Right.
So yeah, that's my top five.
Good picks.
Sweet. JP.
All right, so me first here. My number 5 was the Homegrown Horrors Volume 3. Revenge was all right. Deadly Love was all right, but Haunted Ween is awesome.
I gotta say, I am fucking shocked that wasn't on Tony's list. Like, just shocked.
Yeah,
it's weird because like Haunted Ween, of course, is a classic, and I love that movie so much. But I felt so underwhelmed by the rest of it that it just like kind of killed like the excitement for me.
The momentum of the box,
right? Like, I do like the set, and I still love those sets more than anything, but. It's my third favorite.
This is the weakest of the sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first set I liked a lot. I actually haven't watched anything out of the second set.
Second set's probably my favorite.
Well, what were the movies in the second one? I can't remember.
It was Moonstalker, Dead Girls, and Hanging Heart, which was a slasher I'd never seen. That was pretty cool.
That was the one I hadn't seen either. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. But Revenge is a sequel to Blood Cult, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen Blood Cult. I don't think I've seen Blood Cult. Maybe I have. I don't remember Blood Cult at least, but I guess I'll see it next month.
You should watch Revenge again if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I know, because that it would probably make sense then.
Yeah, it takes place literally right after.
That's what I heard. Yeah, I like Haunted Ween quite a bit. It's just a fun one. Then my number 4 is Herencia Diabolica. Dude, this like it's not a great movie, but it is like just so like interesting. I remember when we were reviewing it, I was just like, this is just a wild like piece of random what is it, Mexican?
Yeah.
Just oddity, right? It's just an oddity. And that's the fun part of Vinegar Syndrome, is when you find these little weird things. I never heard of this. I know I think Tony said he had seen it before we reviewed it, but I had never even heard of it, so it was a fun one. And then number 3 is Witch Story, which I agree with what Tony was saying. This is I love the different artworks on here too, dude. Like you got
they need to hire that dude.
Front one, you got that back one, then you have 4 different arts on like the slip and the box, which is just really cool. Like this just looks like such a 80s like horror novel in the fucking library look to it, right?
Yeah, it looks so good.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
They need to hire that motherfucker for more movies, whoever that is.
Yeah, whoever did this did a good job. But yeah, that was a nice surprise because I don't think I had heard of this movie before we reviewed it. My number 2 is The Ripper. I had a lot of fun with this one.
I knew that was going to make your list.
And like,
nice.
Even like thinking about it, like we talked about it in the group chat a few times after. I talked with Dave Z a little bit about it because I do think that he would enjoy this now. Like, he might not love it, you know what I mean? Like, it might not be like a top 50 non-franchise slasher, but versus what he felt when he watched it with his friends back in the 80s or whatever, I think he would respect it a little bit more than that. So we should
at least check it out again.
Yeah. we were talking about that in the group chat, and then it's so funny. Like, I saw somebody else, like I saw like on Twitter or something, just randomly come up. Somebody was talking about this movie and how it was like a underrated, underseen like slasher, and it was just so weird that like somebody wrote like a full-blown article. Well, I guess it would make sense. They fucking probably grabbed the Blu-ray. They just didn't mention it anyway. My number one is Little Darlings. This was
hold it.
What?
That's what I was thinking. Your number one was going to be Little Darlings.
Called it?
I didn't think it would be number one, but I thought it was going to be on
this fool finally calls something right. Like he always complains that he never knows.
Well, it was easier top five, and I was like, "There's only so many. There's very limited this time."
Yeah, I'd never seen this movie before. I watched it 3 times for that show because it had 2 commentaries. And I liked it more after each watch. Like it was just, I was like, man, this is a movie that if I saw it when I was like growing up or like, you know, in my teens or even younger or was alive when it came out, like I think this would be like a favorite ever movie of mine. Just sort of one of those like coming of age, like I saw Stand By Me when I was a kid, right? And that movie like stuck with me forever. I feel like that this movie is like that type of movie for a lot of people. And yeah, I think it's definitely the coolest of this line that they've done so far. Which this was like such a great title to start off with.
Yeah, they literally blew their fucking load with that first one.
The first 2, right? Because Red Rock West.
I mean the first 2. I mean, I guess
Little Darlings was such an obscurity before they put that 4K out. Like literally no one talked about that movie.
I'd never heard anybody talk about it. I wasn't even familiar with it, you know.
So I had heard of it. I never heard anyone talk about it. I had to like, do you guys ever just like get insomnia or like just can't sleep when I just play on Letterboxd forever?
Yep.
The first part, yes, every night.
So I had one of those nights where I was just like playing on Letterboxd. I was like, I want to find some like real obscure like cult movies to watch, and I just started like searching like Letterboxd lists, and so I compiled like 50 movies I never heard of that I want to watch just based on finding it, and they all had to be like under 10K views, and that was one of the movies I'd actually found. So like when that got announced, I was like, ooh, all right.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. It's I think what that label, the line, like the idea behind it, I think that film like encapsulates what they were trying to do. So hopefully they, you know, work on that a little bit. I mean, I assume that the longer the line goes, the more refined they'll probably get like what they're trying to do. Funny enough, in my top 5, I had 2 DeGosser releases. And it would have been 3 had Redneck Zombies been allowed to be included.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I didn't have any in mine.
I think that line, I know that's surprising. I think that line is what I've liked the most out of Vinegar Syndrome this year. It's a really fun line. I have enjoyed everything that I've picked up from it. You know, it's pretty cool.
Right.
Me too. I'm definitely the most excited about DeGosser, even though none of them are in my top 5. But I don't know. Like I disagree with everybody. I think this year so far has been really great. Like just like the stuff that we've been talking about, like the DeGosser and the Cinematographe. Plus, like there's probably going to be a lot of releases that they put out that we're not going to talk about that were good, like a Spanish Giallo box set and shit like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's I get what you're saying. Like, I don't think it's a bad year at all. I just think that like compared to like I didn't have much more that I could have put. Like I couldn't have made a top 10 list probably and been like super stoked on everything. But then again, I haven't watched, like you said, a handful of titles too still. But I feel like last year was like I was looking at some of the titles and I'm like, this was a great year. But
yeah, I wish I remembered. It's such a blur at this point.
Yeah, I can't. It's just too much coming and going, man. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So but anyways.
But yeah, it's those 5 releases are definitely worth picking up though. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my top 5 Vinegar Syndrome releases from this year, and actually this one right here has not been mentioned yet. And I mean, this is a film that I always liked, and I always knew that there was another cut for this film. So I was super stoked when they put this film out with both the cuts. It has the original Italian cut, which is like 10, 11, 12 minutes longer than the American cut that we were used to. Olive had put this out on Blu-ray years ago, and it was in the American cut version. And that, of course, is The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. I really like this movie. It kind of rekindled. I rewatched this one, I think last night before. And, you know, it's super gothic-y. It's got great atmosphere, great performances in this movie, too. Barbara Steele's amazing in this. Really good stuff. But it does, you know, I mean, obviously the transfer is great. It's a 4K, which, the fuck? This is what I'm talking about in 2024, man. We're getting 4Ks of, like, the Horrible Dr. Hitchcock and other films and stuff. Yeah, to finally watch it with the extra footage in there. And I did notice a few scenes that I did not remember, which were really cool, which is pretty interesting to why they're cut out. I could never understand why there was so many Italian and foreign films cut in American releases. And if you look at some of the cut footage that's in these films, you're like, why? Why would they even bother cutting that out? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Robert Fleming is fantastic as a doctor in this film. Really good stuff, but Transfer's phenomenal. Great soundtrack, very, very ominous and creepy film. So yeah, The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, great Italian film. Yeah,
that was really good. That was a first time watch for me at 4K, and I really liked it.
Yeah. I thought it was.
Didn't we review that movie?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and I always like, and even I might have mentioned it too. I'm like, man, this is the American cut version. I can't remember, but
I have that all. It's like, has the purple cover.
Yeah,
I think I had that.
Yeah, and this is the first time that cut's ever been like,
I didn't know that,
formally released, like as a good release. Like I think it might have had an Italian one, but it was like impossible to find, probably shit transfer and stuff. But yeah, we got a 4K nice hard box and stuff. And again, you know, the packaging comes into play a little bit too, but it's more about the film for myself. But like this artwork is just so phenomenal. Like it
is
really
good.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's really well
I bet
done.
that's that same guy.
Like
that's the guy that did the fucking witch story.
Yeah, it could be.
Like these painting, like it's so beautiful, right? Like it just, the whole package is really good. It's chock full of features, both cuts of the film if you want to watch a shorter version. But again, you know, it's got the huge fucking, you know, the big booklet and stuff which I have not read yet, but
I barely ever read those.
I actually read a ton of them. I don't. I like them because they're quick reads usually. Okay, so number 4, we got Herencia Diabolica. And this makes the list because this movie kind of blew my shitter out because it's the Mexican Chucky. Basically, it's not a great movie at all, but it's really fun to watch, and it has its moments. It has its moments, but it's one of those kind of like, oh shit moments. You're like, I'm watching the Mexican Chucky movie. It's like, it's utterly ridiculous. But this is, again, going back to my point that I made off the top of the show about films that, you know, are getting their due in 2024. Like, I mean, I don't think this ever had a disc release or nothing anywhere.
No, I watched it on YouTube, and it looked like absolute fucking shit.
It probably had a fucking Mexican VHS release that was garbage.
Third generation VHS.
And it probably had some terrible fucking subtitles.
Yeah. Like somebody who like took like English class in Mexico for like a year.
Right, somebody is literally using like a fucking like translator.
Yeah. But speaking of the guys are video, man, here's one of the releases. Good stuff from them. Yeah. Very, very cool. And
one of the greatest chase scenes.
Coming at number 3 is, of course, the Homegrown Horrors box set. It's got, of course, Haunted Ween, Deadly Love, and Revenge. Deadly Love was a first time watch for me. Not a phenomenal movie by any means, but kind of one that got stuck in my head a little bit. The theme song.
The song.
Oh my god, that thing got stuck because they play it quite a few times throughout the film. But man,
they have an isolated audio track of it too as a special feature. It's pretty sweet.
And look at this terrible art. That's amazing. I'm assuming that's the original.
Jesus, that's the VHS artwork for sure.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
it turns into this very odd kind of slasher film. But the thing that really made me laugh about this movie was the totally obscure and I would say like maybe over ambiguous ending where they try to get people to think, but it really doesn't make a fucking lick of sense. Like they tried to get it like, oh, we're gonna make you think a little bit here. And do you remember the ending, Tony, to this?
No, I already forget.
But the very last shot in the film literally doesn't make a lick of sense. Like they tried to keep it a little bit. I don't know, man. Like I don't know what the fuck they're trying to do with this. But anyways, it doesn't make any sense. It just made me laugh. But yeah, we got Haunted Weem. This was a cool upgrade. The reason why I was sitting here because I have like an original DVD that the director put out. It was signed years ago that you could buy straight from him and stuff like that. So this is the first time it's on disc. Pretty cool to get an upgrade of that right there. And of course, Revenge has had, it's had its DVDs in the blood pack and stuff like that. But pretty cool to get an upgrade of that too. I have not rewatched those, but I will. I was actually waiting. The reason why I didn't watch Revenge because I knew Blood Call was coming out. So got to watch them back to back, really.
But Revenge looks amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's unbelievable.
Nice. I can't wait to watch Revenge again. So it's been years since I've actually seen that one. So yeah, number 3. Number 2 is of course the Maya Inspectors double feature. Again, Italian cinema of films that never really got any due over here, and to get a double feature like this and just they look spectacular. Like they look phenomenal. Like the transfers on here, they sound good, they look good. Really fucking fun movies. Good stuff right here. This is what I live and die for, man. I know Maya was heavily bootlegged for years. I remember seeing bootlegs of that one around because it always had that different artwork and stuff. But this one right here is the one that legitimately blew my shitter out. Like I had to go buy some toilet paper after this one. Witch Story, which made so far all of our lists. It's phenomenal. Now we're just getting repetitive, but this artwork, come on, man. Like that shit is ridiculous. But
yeah, it's incredible.
Everything that you guys said about this.
3 of the same releases.
Yeah. Fun ass movie. Really love this movie. It fucking got a great soundtrack. Everything you guys said is like totally true. It's just super fun. The features on here are really cool. You learn a little bit. But yeah, really fun. Late 80s. If you like late 80s Italian American style films, Witch Story is for you. Actually, all 3 of these right here. Like same era of filmmaking. So that's the top 5. Tyler,
I'm still blown away. We got those 3 movies. That's so fucking cool.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. Yeah, I guess I'm a little. Yeah, the year's better than I thought. Maybe.
I think it's been a decent year. But so for my top 5, I decided to include all releases under Vincent. So I do have a couple partner releases that came this year. But I'm not a sub, so like since I'm not getting like this mass quantity, I'm not seeing all these, and since I'm like paying for all these anyway, that's not really a big difference when I'm buying Vincent or partner labels when I make a little choosier for them. So I might have gotten a bit more partner labels than other people too. But yeah, I think these are one that I think at least one of these it would fit right with Vincent anyway. So to start it off, little honorable mention, rest in peace to Deaf Crocodile. Bubble Bath would have made my list had they still been a label, but they're gone.
Yeah.
So the first one I'm gonna come up with this is one of my partner picks. It's from Bleeding Skull and it's Blonde Death.
I never picked that up. Is that good?
This movie's awesome. I like this a lot. I picked this up on a whim in like the Vincent Archive store, just because everyone was hyping it up and the slip had sold out and there was one on the shelf, so it was like fate.
I literally had that sitting out on my table to watch. I was going to watch it last night, but then the wife informed me that Big Brother was on. I forgot it was on last night again. So
yeah, this is a ton of fun. This fits probably in better with Vincent than like maybe even the picks I have like from Vincent. It's a shot on video, and I'm not someone who's ever like been like giant on shot on videos, but this was awesome. They leaned into like being very self-aware that they like don't have a budget. And it's just very like funny. It's very absurd. Like it's vulgar where it needs to be. It's violent where it needs to be, and it's all like tongue in cheek. And like they do a good job with what they have, and I liked it a lot. I watched it with my girlfriend, who's definitely never seen anything like this, like as far as like like shot on video stuff, and she liked it a lot too. We had a bunch of fun watching it. I would definitely like watch this again and be happy to recommend it. My number 4, this kind of represents the cinematograph line. This could have been if I had done just Vincent, Little Darlings would have been my list too, but I chose this one to represent it just because I think I'm just like a noir fan, so I'm more likely to rewatch this, I think. But the release wise, like it really like Little Darlings is like the better release, I would say. But it's just preference, I guess. But just represents that side. This movie is a lot of fun. It's one of the more popular. It's probably the most popular movie to get released so far from the line. But
I think it's the only one that has a standard at this point.
Yeah. So this is like,
did that one sell out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What
is that? What they're doing? They're just waiting for them to
my number is 1697. But yeah, I like this a lot. It's good performances. It's got a bunch of great Hollywood character actors in. I would definitely recommend this movie for sure. Up third, a movie that was a first time watch for me that's been named once. It is the VSU Southern Comfort. I like this movie a lot. One of my favorite movies I watched for the first time this year. I'm a big fan of Walter Hill, so this was probably my biggest blind spot for him at the time. And yeah, I thought the restoration was awesome. This is when I watched all the special features on, and I was definitely like satisfied with those.
Speaking of good art too.
Yeah, the presentation of this is great. I love the inside. You just have like the simple, just like Southern comfort. You got just lots of different hues. Same thing. Like they really lean into like the
that was the VSU
thing. Yeah,
totally forgot.
If I was making a top 10, it would have been in there. The reason why I didn't really consider it for my top 5 is, even though it is like a 4K, I do have the Vinegar or the Shout Factory.
Yeah, I have that version as well.
So it was just kind of like a rebuy for me, an upgrade. So
yeah, that was a movie I always like put off buying. It was like always on my on my buy list. So it just never happened, and this coming out just made it perfect. So
I feel like I've had that movie on every format.
Yeah,
I remember getting that for super cheap too. Like the Shout Factory Blu-ray at the time was super cheap.
Yeah. It does have a badass fucking location, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, my number 2 movie I gushed about that I reviewed all about Lily Choo Choo from Film Movement, who's definitely
the famous.
I thought that was going to be your number 1. I thought that was going to be your number 1. Shit.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not your one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like I'll doubt this is a movie I'm definitely gonna like revisit again probably within a few months. I'd be like happy to like have discussions about this movie. This was just a really great film. This is a really good release, and I love what Film Movement has been doing since they've arrived as a partner label. And my number 1, I'm sure is pretty obvious at this point. This is a movie I would definitely rewatch again. This movie is bound to be an all-time favorite.
Oh yeah, I know what it is.
And it is The Singapore Sling.
I forgot about Singapore.
I forgot about that release, honestly.
Yeah. Even looking at it is giving me flashbacks of what the fuck.
Yeah, I love
what the fuck.
I loved this movie. This is one of my favorite things I watched the first time this year. I had so much fun with this. Like I'm even giddy at the idea of just watching this again.
Was that the first time watch?
Yep.
So you
I knew that.
You haven't rewatched it?
Be up here,
I haven't rewatched that. I'll probably rewatch it like sometime next year, or like if.
I watched it twice, and I still can't make sense of it.
I think I got a pretty good grasp on what it was, because it's an homage movie. It's homaging.
Of course, but
it's a thing I'm bound to be attracted to, because it's homaging a bunch of things I like personally. Like it's like a play on just like what. Like it's got this noir framework, like through the eyes of this like weird like story about like oppression, and just it's almost like too artsy for its own good. Like there's just so much that like every time you watch this movie, you're gonna like have a different takeaway about different things, and you probably won't ever remember what you thought about it last time. There's just so much going on, and those are movies that just end up being my favorites now.
I feel like that's one of those movies that, like, the reason why I like that movie is because it has that black and white film noir feel to it.
It's just such a nasty movie too. It's like when I watch movies like this, I feel like I'm getting away with something.
But I feel like if that movie was shot in color, it wouldn't have the same appeal to
me. Oh, it definitely wouldn't. It was a great choice, and like the lighting in it is done like super well.
Because if you're gonna do a homage to like film noir, and like shoot it like that and have that kind of aesthetic and stuff, like you have to do it black and white, I feel.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, I loved it. Both, like, really any of those 5 are movies that I think I will rewatch and like I would recommend to people.
Because it's not trying to be like a neo-noir, it's trying to be like an old school fucking film noir. So
yeah, it's taking the backbone of that and just doing its own thing. I don't think the director even necessarily knows what like he's like putting out there. But that's the part of
it's just the whole
part of the experience.
It's the whole relationship, the whole incest thing. Like there's so many weird fucking things, like variables in that movie that just like it makes my head spin. Yeah. I'm just like, fuck, it's such a weird fucking movie, dude. Like,
yeah, I thought I had it during my first time watch, but then like towards the end, it started throwing me like 15 curveballs.
I know, dude. It's like it just fucks with your fucking equilibrium too. You're like, oh man, I got fucking vertigo and shit. Like, you don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah,
but it's cool though. I mean, it's definitely a film that you could probably watch a few times if you can get through the content of it, because it is pretty.
My brain's so cooked. My brain is so cooked at like at this point that I didn't even find that movie like that like outrageous.
Jesus, dude, go see a fucking doctor.
Like it's a comedy.
But that's the weird thing about the tone of that film is that it's serious at times, but then it's like comedic, and it's clearly the darkest of black fucking comedy.
Yeah, that's like, what I want from a movie.
Yeah, like it is fucking insanely dark. Yeah, it's to the point I think that it might even like obviously to offend people because everyone gets offended about everything these days, but those type of people shouldn't be watching shit like that because it's not for them. All right, so yeah, that's the top 5 favorite release. I'll just say favorite releases because Tyler fucked that one up and had partner shit in there.
I'm curious to see. So I'm curious to see once we get to the end of the year if any of those titles stay on our list.
I can guarantee one of my titles is definitely making my list.
For spoiler,
are we doing a top 10 at the end?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
If I did just do Vinegar Syndromes, Little Darlings would have been my number 4, and Dr. Terror's House of Horror would be my number 5.
No love for Phase 4, huh?
Nah, no love for Phase 4.
I can't see which.
I like Phase 4.
I can't see which story getting knocked off my list this year. There's gonna have to be some fucking real heavy hitters, man.
I mean, dude, that Phase 4 release looked so beautiful, though. It really did.
I can't see my top 3 getting knocked off. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, the Phase 4, man. Like, I mean, it's an alright movie, but man, it's just to get that type of release, it seems overkill.
Dude, it
is overkill.
That transfer was fucking sick, dude.
And it pisses me off.
Transfer was amazing. The art was amazing too. Like the hard box, like with the
the artwork is amazing on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the artwork's like the horrible Dr. Hitchcock and the Witch Story, how like each of these hard box 4Ks have like 4 sets of artwork on them, and including like Phase 4. It's like, to me, like I think that might be my favorite VS packaging, honestly. Those small hard boxes.
Yeah, I think cool.
What makes them do that for certain releases? Because like they always seem like they're one of their special lines, but like those are just straight Vinegar Syndrome releases that just have the slider hard box on them and stuff. Where the other ones that like the contrast is like they just have regular Blu-ray releases that don't have that. I feel weird.
I feel like when they're watching the transfer, they're like, "Oh shit, this got to be one of those hard box releases."
Do they do just the transfer?
This one costs too much.
It feels like sometimes I'm just like, it feels like those releases always have like the best fucking transfers.
But it's true because Witch Story, like it does have like one of those really good fucking transfers, right? Like that's interesting. That's interesting.
And then like a movie like Ebola Syndrome doesn't get a hard box, and that's on a 4K. But of course, Witch Story gets one.
I don't know if they were they doing those type of hard boxes back then when that came out.
I mean, that was only a couple years back.
I think they were because
Texas Chainsaws.
One of my hard box. That's like that. The October of that year is when I first got into Vincent, and one of my first purchases was at like the table at Wasteland. Because I bought Ticks and I bought in the hard box and I bought.
Oh yeah, because Ticks is a few. I can see Chainsaw 2 getting that because that has a major cult following. Like people love Chainsaw 2. right?
Oh, yeah,
Like, so that makes complete sense. But phase 4.
I wonder if that's been a good seller for them.
I don't know.
I honestly have no idea.
Like, it's sort of a high.
It's not even a bad movie. It's just
what?
comparable.
I will say though, what's interesting about this one is they did I'm in kind of like a more like esoteric, we'll say like snobby film Discord, and they reviewed this movie as like a group review one week.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like more of a highbrow culty film.
They didn't they didn't like it. Nobody liked it.
Never mind.
Really? Because you think that was the type of movie where these highbrow fucking
it seems
like elitists and shit, they're like, oh man, you know, like there's so much more going on. Like the quantum physics of these ants is like this and that. I'm like, shut up, dude. But
some of the stuff they end up not
nobody wants to listen to quantum physics, man.
Yeah, I think they all thought it was boring. But some of the stuff that like they end up not liking like really surprises me sometimes.
Yeah, because that does seem like one of those.
That's just like such a 70s movie.
I noticed one they did too is like the Island of Lost Souls, like the 30s film.
Yeah,
and they all like hated it.
Really, that movie's really good.
I think I own that movie. Maybe.
Yeah, Criterion put that out.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't.
It's a Criterion.
I actually bought it this sale. That's one of the movies I bought this sale.
Yeah, I've actually owned that one for years on Criterion. I really like that movie.
Well, like I didn't even discover it until recently, so that's why I bought it. But like I remember I was like looking, I was like, wow, why did they all hate this movie?
Huh.
But like the 90s version, Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Full Moon Dr. Moreau that came out in like the 2000s?
I don't see any adaptation.
I don't think so.
It's called Dr. Moreau's House of Pain. Yeah, I never watched it either.
And it's what 58 minutes long.
Probably. The best of the Moreau movies.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Wild.
All right, so let's get into some Vinegar Syndrome partner label recommendations. Once again, these are recommendations that are going to be relatively available on the website. So a lot of our favorite partner labels have left, like stuff like from Terror Vision, you know, Fun City Editions, Culture Shock, just to name a couple that have left. They are ineligible, which is totally shitty because I was collecting all those ones, fuckers. So, but I actually did recently pick up a couple Fun City Edition when I was at HorrorCon.
Yeah,
so
but even if they're even if they leave the label, the titles that they have are still usually available for purchase, right?
Well, if they still have the stock, but all those labels that
like
left, they put their shit on
stock.
sale, and then they also I don't even think TerrorVision has any titles left on.
No, but they left over a year.
Yeah, because they put all their shit on sale. Like same with Culture Shock, all their stuff was on sale, and Fun City,
Culture Shock.
Yeah, Culture Shock was so good, man.
What have they done?
Literally nothing. That's the fucked up thing. They haven't put out one fucking title. At least Fun City.
They're probably
Fun
like
City is actually put out
like cooking something up. They're probably like, you know, think about it. When you lose distribution, you probably have to take.
Well, Fun City has put out about 10 releases since they left. They put out another one of those TV box sets, even though it's not in a fact pack. It comes in like a slimmer case, but still, they're still putting out shit though. TerrorVision obviously is putting out like a ridiculous. Well, they're more announcing everything. They're not putting out, but whatever. They've dropped lots of stuff. But Culture Shock, what a shame.
Holy shit! I can move you guys around.
Whoa.
Yeah,
never knew that.
Do you ever watch how record?
That's fucking cool.
So it's still going to record the same way that I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
You guys watch
you see it because you mentioned I was below you, but on my screen I was to the right of you.
Oh, trippy.
Yeah, fun with
when you watch this back on the video.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did something different with my segment or whatever because I don't really buy a lot of partner label stuff.
No. That's why I mentioned Vinegar Syndrome / partner label stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So mine's a mixture.
I actually purposely just did it all partner, but I put one Vinegar Syndrome in there just for shits and giggles. Just to mention it, just because I want people to check it out because I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it, even though they should. I know Tony, he knows what I'm talking about, but
hey, maybe it's the same movie. Who knows?
Maybe it is. Anyways, we'll get into these. Tony, you're up.
All right, so I have 3 recommendations for people. These are movies that are currently on the site, and I have 2 regular VS releases and 1 partner label release. And the first one I want to talk about is a movie called Flesh Eater from 1988 from Bill Hinsman, who was
I fucking love it.
Who's the
that
first
is a
zombie
great release.
He was like the first zombie from Night of the Living Dead, and in the late 80s, he directed this super regional fucking zombie movie, and it's almost unlike anything you'll ever see, like from the zombie genre. It's like you can't even really explain it. It's like imagine George Romero on a micro budget, except with the same people and some like actual flair, except with a lot more sleaze. Like there's nudity in here, it's gory. He's like ripping girls' towels and tops off because he's a fucking old hornball and shit. And I don't know, like the movie, like I've been watching this movie for a long time. I watch it literally every single October. It's one of my all-time favorite zombie movies I've ever seen in my life. It has such a good Halloween atmosphere. The music is great. Like this movie is just everything that I want in a zombie movie, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I don't know like if there's many people that talk about it, but I feel like movie is pretty much hated amongst most circles, and I honestly don't understand it. Like if people like love trashy movies like this, like Flesh Eater should definitely be in everybody's collection.
It's one of those funny movies that like has its own flair, but then it totally turns into Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, exactly. At the very end. It's so funny. Yeah, it's almost like a remake, like almost a 1988 remake, but like a pseudo remake, like in name only, like they didn't have the rights or something. But like the movie's so cool. Like it starts with a bunch of kids that are having like a campfire in the woods where some, I don't know, for some reason, like
it's a Halloween movie, actually.
Right. So the zombie is like in a coffin with like a fucking pentagram on it, and it is disturbed by a guy who's like tilling some fields and shit. So that's how the zombie outbreak starts. But then yeah, he tears through this group of kids at a bonfire, then he goes through neighborhoods. And that's another cool thing about this movie is like the suburban aspect of it. Like that's another thing.
It's a lot of it's filmed around here.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It does make a lot of sense. Like it does feel very like Pittsburghy because it's just like Romero light, this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like he tears through the suburbs, he tears through an actual Halloween costume party. It's just a lot of fun, and I recommend it to anybody. And fuck the haters.
Yep, I love it as well. Like it's perfect regional horror.
Yeah, it's like regional horror 101. Like if you're even remotely interested in regional horror, like you should definitely check out Flesh Eater. And the 4K looks amazing.
Yeah, dude, like I had the Shriek Show DVD for fucking ever. I never grabbed, I think they ended up putting on a Blu-ray too after, but I heard it was like trash, so I never grabbed it. But so I used to rock that fucking DVD, and that was some pretty muddy shit. I mean, Shriek Show was awesome because they put out some really good stuff, but their transfers were never great, even for DVD back in the day. And then it went from basically me watching that over and over again to a 4K. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This shit is ridiculous. But again, that was why I even said it. I think I even said on the podcast too. I was like, this is why I love Vinegar Syndrome so much, is that they can take Flesh Eater and put out a 4K of fucking Flesh Eater. Like, what the fuck, man? We are so spoiled. Right, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like this is the legitimate golden age of collecting right now. We have a 4K of Flesh Eater. It is an embarrassment of riches.
It's so crazy.
Like we don't deserve that.
No.
I did keep my DVD of it though, because it does have like a local pizza commercial, like as a special feature that's not on this 4K, and I'm kind of pissed off about it. And I really like that pizza commercial.
Yeah, I kept all my old Shriek Show just because it's very nostalgic to have those and stuff. Like those were cool releases for their times and stuff. They're just kind of capsules, but.
Mm-hmm. All right, so definitely recommend that. My second is probably like a movie that's very important to me. It's my all-time favorite shot on video movie, actually. And it was put out by Saturn's Core Video, and it's Savage Harvest by Eric Stanzi.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
This is a movie that's
a pretty good one.
I've actually seen this one. I have that one.
It's like actually legit one of the. It's probably one of the actual legit best shot on video films ever made. Like for the quality of it, like there's a lot of heart put into it. There's a lot of good stuff going on in that.
It's so
I remember like
good.
the monsters like looking really good.
Yeah, the monsters are cool. Like, there's so much cool lore in this movie because it deals with all these
crazy man. So much story, so much fucking story, and it's crazy.
Yeah, they use an actual like Missouri flood as like a backdrop to their story, which is like really clever, and it's probably like really on the nose thinking too, because like the actual plot of the movie is a bunch of kids like going to like an aunt and uncle's house to like clean up their property because of a bad storm, which created a lot of flooding, which also disturbed some Native American like stones that had been laid around the property. And all these stones signify like a demonic animal. And if a person touches it, they basically become possessed by that like demonic animal. So yeah, these kids show up and you don't know who touched what, because the concept of this movie is once you touch the stone, they slowly devour your soul until they finally overtake you. So it could be a matter of minutes or it could be a matter of hours, and nobody knows like when it's going to happen. And yeah, like all the demons in it are pretty unique. Like you have the guy who's like a boar, like the ant is like a vulture, and she just like fucking played by a man, by the way. She just like hunch over and like just basically just scrounges up all the little bits and pieces after everybody are killed. And like speaking of that, the gore in this movie is just amazing for like the budget and everything. Like you have impalements, exploding heads, bodies being ripped in half, like heads being caved in. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, the fact that Saturn's Core put this out is just like one of the best things I've ever bought. Like even from Vinegar Syndrome period. Like I worship this fucking movie.
Saturn's Core has put out some really good shot on video films, man. Like some of the earlier releases, like they put out a bunch of really fucking good stuff, and put out like a bunch of stuff like that we rewatched for like 91 and shit. I think like that. Some good fucking good releases, man.
Yeah, they have put out a lot of really cool shit. Like Sinister was one that I watched for the first time that I loved, and
so good. It's Sinister is fucking, and that's one of the ones I'm talking about. Sinister is amazing.
Yeah, they've put out so much cool shit, and like the Scooter McRae movie, Shattered Dead, they put out too.
Yep, Shattered Dead was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready for more Stanzy. They put out Scrapbook, which I'm really happy about, but I'm ready for like Eyes from the Sun and shit.
I couldn't fucking believe that came to Blu-ray, man. I grabbed actually a copy of Scrapbook years ago that was signed from Wasteland years ago. And like I was like, this is on fucking Blu-ray now? This is insane. Like, what?
It's crazy. That one like sold way better than Savage Harvest, and I'm kind of sad, so I want people to buy this. I at Wasteland last year, there's a guy who's making like little figurines and shit, and I bought this little Mark figurine from Savage Harvest. And the guy, I like asked for it, and he said, "You know what? Like I've had this thing sitting on the shelf for like 3 years, and I didn't think I would ever sell this." And I'm like, well, that's because it always belonged to me. It's my favorite shot on video movie, and everybody should own a copy of it.
Did you watch what was it? Ravage?
No, I haven't seen that one actually.
Oh, that's a really good, like if you like Shattered Dead and stuff, Ravage is fucking really good, man. It's really good.
Yeah, because that's by the same guy who did Sinister, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good, man. Like, honestly, the dude's got some fucking talent, man. I mean, again, when you say the word shot on video or SOVI or whatever you want to say, it scares people off. But I'm telling you, like, there's legit shot on video films out there that are made like real movies. You know what I mean? Like,
right, like actual set pieces, like shootouts, car chases, shit like that. Like, that movie's legit.
It's funny because I had a conversation with a guy one time, and I was like, man, if you took like, even Savage Harvest, man, and say if it was shot on film, would it just make it better for you? So it maybe it's just the visual for people. They can't get over like the actual VHS quality of it. I don't know. But I mean, if you were to take the exact film or that movie and just it was on film, like, to me, of course, it would probably elevate it a little bit because it's film. We all love the warmness of film and stuff like that. But I love the look of video though. Like that type of VHS.
I think for some people, the way that I look at it is like, think of like the early 2000s with that DV, like the way that it looks, you hate it.
And well, DV is like digital video. It was like kind of like an upscaled like shot on video, right? Because digital video still had the tapes. It still was analog, but it was considered digital because it was like a little bit of a different format. But that's why it looks like the way it does, because it has that digital analog look to it. But
I think certain people just can't, like, the way that you don't like those is the way they don't like shot on video stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's just funny. Personal preference. I like the mini DV look. Like, to me, that just feels like 2000s to me.
I like some of it. Like, there's some movies that I think work really well. In fact, I'm actually going to talk about one here in a minute that was shot at that time when DV just came out. I do prefer the shot on video because I really like the VHS type of look, like video violence. Like every time I watch video violence, I'm like, this is exactly why I like shot on video. Like that's exactly, the cornerstone for video for myself. But I think the problem is though, like if you're older, like some of us old bucks that grew up watching a lot of shot on video, and then you start watching some of the late 90s, early 2000s DV, that quality changed to the point where it was like it just looked ugly as shit. Like I know Parker's the same way, man. He's like that early 2000 stuff is like it's a hard sell for somebody that grew up with the VHS to this, because it just has this certain look. It definitely looks a little bit better, not a whole lot better, but it has this weird kind of wishy-washy, like almost wannabe look to it. It's weird. Yeah, it's really hard to explain.
It's weird because it was brand new. You know what I mean? Like we weren't like conditioned on good looking movies and shot on video. Like this is something that we were old, and all of a sudden here comes this new format. We're just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like speaking of shot on video and shit, like to me, like this movie doesn't work unless it's shot on video, just because it's so grassroots. Like this is another like purely regional movie, like shot in Missouri. Like the backdrop is a Missouri flood that actually happened in the early to mid 90s. The soundtrack is like college rock from local Missouri bands. Like if you're into like shit like that, like this is what you need in your collection, just like Flesh Eater. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, we actually mentioned it for like a hair, is Ticks, the 4K.
Nice.
Speaking of hard boxes, which obviously, if I'm recommending this people to buy, you can't get this hard box anymore. And yeah, like the artwork on this is amazing too. You have this incredible art on the front and Clint Howard on the back screaming "I'm infested," which is one of the great classic lines of the movies.
I love that artwork on the back. It's so good.
Yeah. And then just the artwork on this slipcover, which is just Amy Dolenz' face with the ticks. Like to me, like this is such an iconic cover from when I was a kid, like seeing the VHS on the shelf and shit. Like to me, just looking at her face brings me immense levels of joy. I love her so much. Like Ticks, Miracle Beach, Pumpkinhead 2, Witchboard 2. I just fucking love Amy Dolenz. But yeah, like Ticks, like this movie is just like one of the best 90s creature feature movies you'll probably ever see. The cast is amazing. You have Amy, you have Seth Green, you have fucking Carlton from Fresh Prince. He's playing a character. The people call him Panic because he never do. And he gets fucked up in this movie.
Dude, he's trying to be so hard. It's so hard to take him serious in it. It's like, he's fucking Carlton, man.
He's trying so hard to break the image of Carlton in this movie that it's so obviously like fake and phony. I fucking love it so much. But yeah, like Ticks, if you're into 90s creature features, like you can't do any better than this. Like there's tons of gore in this movie, like lots of like exploding ticks and all this other crazy nasty shit that happens. Clint Howard's in it and his face explodes. Like it's just a really good movie, and honestly, and I just wanted to talk about it because not a lot of people talk about Ticks. And it's directed by Tony Randall, who did shit like Children of the Night. which also has Amy Dolenz in it,
Mm-hmm.
and Hellraiser 2, which I just watched on 4K the other day and it looks amazing. But yeah, Ticks. Great 90s creature feature movie, and I highly recommend that too on 4K standard edition.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Really, really good one. Yeah, that one doesn't surprise me. It's sold out though, for sure.
Yeah.
It's fucking.
Yeah, it seems like that one probably would have been a really hot seller.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I got it. So now I feel special.
4K looks amazing too. I do love how in that movie, like anytime like they figure out that the ticks like just fire kills them, so they like get the torch and like literally like the second like a flame touches a tick, they just fucking pop like a goddamn water balloon. So just like the smallest amount of heat.
Fuck, it's so funny. Where the fuck did JP go?
Oh yeah, he said he had to take a work call.
Yeah.
And since I didn't put any partner label shit on my top 5, I do want to put a huge shout out to Houseboat Horror and Last Slumber Party. Because if I did include those in like my list, they probably would have made my top 5. Especially Houseboat Horror.
Yeah, I mean, it still blows my. I always forget that that's an umbrella release. I keep thinking it's Vinegar Syndrome. I did that like 3 times, man. Like making my list, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking Umbrella. I'm not doing partner labels in the top 5. I'm like, oh shit.
That movie or that release is so amazing. Like how good that movie looks, it still blows my mind.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like actually unbelievable because, like I said, I watched like the first like 20 minutes of that movie one time. It was like almost unwatchable. I couldn't even fucking hear anything, man. It's crazy.
Right, now it looks like almost like it was shot on 16 millimeter. It looks so good. Like, what the fuck did they shoot this movie on?
I know. It's fucking mind blowing, dude. It's crazy. So, JP, yeah, it's your go.
Okay.
We kept the ball rolling.
Okay, cool.
And I don't feel bad for it. I gotta go bathroom.
So what I did is a little bit different. What I decided on was I was going to randomize 5 titles in my collection from past and present and basically watch them and then tell you if I recommend it or do not recommend it. All right, so the first thing that came up in the randomizer is a little movie called Don't Go in the Woods Alone, I think. Is Alone actually part of the title?
I think it has been both in its lifetime. I think it's just been both actually. I don't know which one came first though.
Dude, there is 3 commentary tracks on this bitch.
Yo, that movie has always been loaded. Like ever since Code Red put out that DVD, like even that DVD was loaded with extras and it's all been ported over.
Yeah, not a big fan of this movie. So it's basically just a slasher film with like sort of a, I don't know, like woodsman looking, primal looking killer dude. And there is a high body count and the gore is like cheesy kind of type of gore. But I just found this movie very annoying. All the characters are super annoying. But by far the worst thing about this movie for me is the awful like score.
No, the score is fucking amazing, dude. It's like, it's like a Casio, like it's like a bad version of Casio. It's fucking great.
Dude, I fell asleep watching this bitch, and it's just like
this is what you're recommending?
No, this is a non-recommend.
Yeah, he picked 5 random titles, and he's going to talk about whether he recommends them or not.
This is literally one of my all-time favorite slasher movies. I'm not even joking. I mentioned this hundreds of times how much I love this movie. I watch it every fucking summer, whether I'm at my cabin, whatever it is.
Yeah, Cher, you're the most beautiful thing that's ever came into my life.
You know what I love about this movie? It's like it feels like it's like 20 different movies in one. It's like a bunch of characters over here, bunch of characters over here. And I keep thinking to myself, going, how in the fuck is this killer getting around this huge ass area, killing all these people? They all seem like they're in different parts of like the mountains, right?
Yeah, he's got tunnels.
I mean, it is like.
Do you like it, Tony?
I love Don't Go in the Woods
Alone. Oh, it's one of my I fucking love, dude. That's one of the selling points for me is the music, like how bizarre it is. Like it's such a weird soundtrack. Oh man, I love it.
So it's so
you have no
cheesy.
flavor. It's so cheesy, man. But
yeah, so this was the first one that came up in the randomizer Moodz to catch you up, and it worked out because it was a slasher film, which I'm supposed to be watching anyway. But yeah, not gonna make my top slasher list.
did you buy this with this? Because I bought the original release and it doesn't have a slipcover, so they re-released this, or not? They obviously,
yeah, they did. They re-released this slip covered version. So when I bought this, it wasn't just the slip cover; it came with the Blu-ray too.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I bought like that's an old Vinegar Syndrome release.
Yeah,
I
never
what's the spine on that?
69, nice.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, it's old because I remember. Yeah, fuck.
I love that slipcover, by the way.
The
like the
slipcover's pretty
spot
cool.
varnish of the cover, or on the killer on the back, where you can only see him in the
Oh, yeah,
spot
that is-
varnish.
Yeah,
That's
I like
really
it. Yeah, it
fucking
is.
cool.
I can't buy. I can't. I've passed. Like I have a lot of the original releases of Vinegar Syndrome where they've re-released slipcovers for them, and I've never bought any of them. I just can't bring myself to just buy slipcovers.
I bought that one because it's Don't Go in the Woods Alone, and I had to.
I do remember when they put that. I was like, ah.
I would do it if
$89
the right
for it. I'm
movie.
like-
Yeah, I would do it if the right movie came along.
The thing is, though, like the original artwork for "Don't Go in the Woods," I love so much. I would just display that.
Gosh, I wish I had an original poster for that movie. I fucking
I do-
love
do-
that
Me too,
poster.
man. Yeah,
Gosh.
I do like the this artwork.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
I like
That's
the yellow.
iconic art.
It stands out. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a handful of summer horror, camp slasher films, even though it's like people camping, not like a camp. This is probably one of my least favorite, honestly.
Dude, I don't understand it, man. I used to message you guys all the time, like, don't watch and don't go in the woods again.
That was
like
the
in my motorhome because I'm in the woods. Fucking yeah.
I
That was
get
the
it. It's
first
an
time I ever
acquired
watched
taste.
it. Listen, I my tastes have definitely like expanded to like more cheesy and tongue in cheek and downright like bad movies.
That's
too,
why I can't believe that you don't appreciate that one. That's crazy.
Dude, it was just a very annoying movie for me. I don't know. But so the second title that came up in the randomizer, which by the way, I have like over 200 unwatched Vinegar Syndrome releases, so this is really helping.
Wait, was that Don't Go in the... Is this all stuff that you haven't watched, or is it just anything?
So this is stuff, but like I might have seen the movie before, but it's just stuff in my collection that I have yet to open.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so basically, and then I'm just going to either recommend it or not recommend it.
Gotcha.
The next title that came up in the randomizer, which by the way, I started typing out each title. Fucking bad idea. Instead, I just put the number of titles and then randomized the number and then counted the titles up. It was taking
did you
way
go
too
by
long,
spine
bro.
number?
No,
Is
I
that what you did?
just how I have them on my. They're in
it was literally
alphabetical
just a
order.
number. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
they're alphabetized for the most part, but I have like sub labels with each other. So like all the VSAs are, but in alphabetical order with VSAs. And then I have like my 4Ks in like a different spot. So I don't know. It's kind of a mess. But the next title that came up was one that I'd never seen before as well, and it is Flesh and Fantasy from 1943. This was the second VSL release from them, and it's considered, I guess, the first American horror anthology film. So have you guys seen this?
No.
I haven't popped it in yet. I do own it, but I haven't
Okay.
popped it in.
Yeah, so it is a anthology film from 1943, which is pretty old. 3 segments. There is sort of a wraparound ish, but not really. There's like a segment before this first 2 segments, and I think the second segment goes right into the third segment. But basically this guy is telling this other guy some stories and shit. But the first segment is about a ugly woman who's not ugly, and she has a crush on like this med school guy, and she meets this weirdo dude who basically, it's kind of a Cinderella thing where he gives her a mask to wear, but she has to return it by midnight. And that's basically the plot, where she puts his mask on and then this guy, they fall in love and stuff. but like if you've ever watched a horror anthology, you pretty much have an idea of like, oh, so, like, you know, I can see how this is gonna end or something. Like she doesn't return the mask at midnight, and so her face is stuck like that forever or something. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
But it really isn't. It kind of didn't go that way, really. The second segment is the best segment in there. This guy meets a fortune teller and like at Palm Raider, and the guy, like the palm reader, like starts like freaking out and won't tell him what he sees, so the guy like forces him to, and he says that your hands are going to kill someone. So then the dude starts getting like Edgar Allan Poe styled, like super stressed out, like paranoid that he's going to end up killing someone. So he's like, what if I kill someone that's like, you know, I take it into my own hands since it's going to happen anyway, and I can choose the victim or whatever. And so, but then it, you know, it kind of, it's he manifests his own destiny essentially, you know what I mean? But that was a really cool segment. I like that one a lot. And the third segment is about a trapeze high wire guy who starts like having visions of himself falling and dying and stuff. It was all right, but overall, I mean, that second segment was really good. I do recommend this title. I think it's a perfect for like one of their sales, you know, if you get it pretty cheap. It's cool historical like thing for film lovers, you know, the first American horror anthology, which is you know, 1943. That's like super early, you know.
What's it called again?
Flesh and Fantasy, which sounds more like a porno, but it's
didn't like a Dead of Night come out in like 1944?
44, I think. Yeah, 45.
Yeah, okay, because I know a lot of people like cited that as the first one for a long time.
Yeah, but apparently this came out first.
Flesh and Fantasy.
And also there is I did read up on this a little bit. So apparently there was a fourth segment plan that Universal scrapped. It was supposed to be about a killer who finds refuge with a farmer and his blind daughter. Sounds fucking cool, honestly. But essentially they repurposed that footage into and shot some additional scenes and released it as a film from 1944 called Destiny. So the film Destiny from 1944 was originally supposed to be a segment in the anthology Flesh and Fantasy. So
is Destiny, is it like a horror film?
I don't know. I didn't look into Destiny itself. It says a drama noir film with Alan Curtis and Gloria Jean, Frank Craven.
Tyler heard the N word.
Like noir.
Noir. He's very excited.
The next film that popped up in the good old randomizer is a film that I have seen before. It is Incubus from, it says 1981 here, but I thought it was 1982. Could be wrong.
Man, that year has changed so many times on IMDb, man. I'm telling you, it has.
Yeah, this one's set in a quiet New England town, and all these girls are getting raped and loaded up with either no semen or tons of semen and blood, and you know,
it's a very rapey movie,
destroying girls' uteruses and stuff like that. Super rapey movie. But then there's like all this religious stuff going on, the satanic shit as well. And there is a kid who's dreaming and thinks he's responsible for this stuff. It's a pretty good movie. I've always liked it. I don't know about you guys.
Incubus is awesome. Yeah, highly recommended.
Yeah, I picked this one up.
Yeah. This is a little bit of an older release. Couple years now. 2018, I think it says back here.
Yeah, I got a slipcover for that.
I think I got it on a sale like last August or something.
I picked this up on a sale for like $11 or something.
Yeah, like it was something cheap like that.
Definitely worth that. But this came out back when I wasn't collecting as much Vinegar Syndromes as I do now. So I eventually picked it up in the sale. But yeah, definitely a really cool rapey movie. I've always been a fan of it. It looks like it's
gonna be allowed to use that word on YouTube. We're gonna get flagged.
Oh shit, I think you're right, actually.
Actually, you totally can. But
yeah.
Wow.
It looks like a space movie, does it not? Like this looks like the movie that went in.
It looks like The Power.
It
looks like the movie The Power.
Remember in Back to the Future when Marty shows dresses up like the space dude to George McFly.
Yeah.
It has the headphones like that's what it looks like.
That's awesome. It does.
Okay, next up in the randomizer was a movie. Actually, I did these out of order from how I watched them, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. This one popped up and I was like, yo, this is I was curious about this one since it got released last year, I believe. And that is this little release of Biozombie from 1998.
So much fun.
Which is a film Hong Kong, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So this movie is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
I have this one too.
It's like it's like fucking Dude, Where's My Car meets like a zombie movie from China. It's very weird. Like the two lead guys are like these like basically like low lifey.
They're fucking idiots.
They're idiots, like, and it's set in a mall, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And if we ever get around to doing our mall show, this might be a title we could throw in there. Because this is not one that people think of when they think of mall films. You know,
it's a crazy looking mall. It almost looks like a flea market.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy, and it's just like it's really funny actually. Like there is a lot of like funny things that happen in this movie to these guys, and like there's this like sushi dude that has his crush on this girl, and then like they rob, like the two dudes like rob this girl, and then like it's just like stupid, but it's like I heard people say it's like kind of like Mallrats mixed with like a horror zombie movie. Or
I like
Mallrats, like when Shaun of the Dead.
You said Dude, Where's My Car? I think that fits a lot, honestly. Like between those, the dynamic between those two dudes, like they're both so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was watching it, I was like, this feels like Dude, Where's My Car or something. It's weird. It came out in 98. I'm sure Dude, Where's My Car was right around there.
It was like 98 or 99 or something.
It was definitely after Biozombie, I think. So they ripped it off. They ripped it off.
It was like 2001.
Oh yeah, probably in the early 2000s.
Yeah, they definitely watched Biozombie when they made that.
But it was just like that, like the late, like the buddy comedies, right? Like the buddy dumbass comedies of the 90s and early 2000s, right? Like it's kind of like the Chinese version of that, but with zombies as well. I didn't know I didn't know what to expect, but I think this movie is like definitely a fucking gem as hell. I enjoyed this one a lot. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10, dude.
Really good ending too.
That was a crazy upgrade, man. I've got one of the older DVDs of that, and then that shit came out. I was like, holy fuck, man! Vinegar Syndrome, dude. This is a highly recommend from Vinegar Syndrome. That's a transfer, that was crazy.
This came out last year, I believe. So definitely, like that, I think it's probably still in stock. So definitely grab it.
Yeah, if you subbed, you got a cool hard box with it.
Who knows about the fucking the slip though?
And then the last film here that I have, I picked 5. I did 5 random watches. I was like stoked when this popped up, and it is Thriller, a Cruel Picture.
Yeah,
they call her One Eye. So I had never seen this before, but I fucking loved it.
Yeah, I loved this.
I will say that the first night I started watching it, I just hit play and fell right to sleep, and I didn't realize that hardcore sex scenes would be playing on my TV.
Oh, the inserts? Yeah. That's not her, by the way.
I know. I looked it up. But yeah, so Thriller is about this girl who gets SA'd. I think, is that how the kids have to say it on YouTube these days?
Yeah, they say SA'd.
Well, it's kind of late now. We already said it once or twice.
They say that, and they say
it's a rape revenge movie.
I got so many essays. That's the new Eminem album, if anybody didn't know.
Yeah, I know.
What he's talking about, Diddy. But this little girl gets like SA'd, and then she goes mute, and then when she's an adult, or actually she's not even an adult, I think she's supposed to be like 15 or 16 or something in this movie.
Yeah.
And this pimp like gets her hooked on heroin and forces her into prostitution, and it's a R-word revenge movie. Can we really not say rape?
Yeah, you gotta say grape.
It's late now. It's too late now.
Yeah,
but
the kids say grape.
This is an information video.
Yeah. So, and like, so there's like at one point in this movie, like towards the third act, you just get like this like montage almost of her training martial arts and training like combat and practicing driving and shooting guns mixed in with just inserts of hardcore sex. And it's just like wild, super sleazy movie. This is
it's
Swedish
triple X,
film.
man. It's triple X.
What's her? Christina Lindbergh did like a great job in this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that this movie is like just exploitation royalty, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of slow mo. There's a lot of slow mo in the end of the movie.
I think it's
I only
like
saw it
great,
once.
too.
Yeah, I only saw it once, but the slow mo like did not bother me.
I loved it.
It's amazing.
I love that style. It reminds me of like how much I love the opening of The Devil's Rejects with the credits and the slow mo. Like,
yes,
it's like the same vibes. But yeah, this obviously, if you've never seen this,
Rob Zombie I think is a huge fan of this movie too. So
it wouldn't surprise me. Somebody else that's a huge
you.
fan is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, Tarantino always talks about this.
Influence for the lead character here for his character in Kill Bill.
Yeah.
But man, this is was this a last year release too from Vincent?
It's a couple years old now.
Couple years.
Yeah,
Man,
I bought that at Wasteland the year it came out.
Okay, 2022 this one came out.
Yeah.
This had to be one of the best releases from them that year. This is definitely like a new favorite of mine for exploitation cinema.
Honestly, that's probably like just one of their best releases, period. In my opinion,
it's a nice release. It has both cuts of the film. It has multiple audio selections. It has like the English dub, the Spanish or Swedish audio. I think this is the American release. They call her One Eye.
That's with none of the porn in it.
Yeah, it's technically the R-rated, the cut version, but it's just got the hardcore.
I didn't watch that version. I watched the original version.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, this was like, I had such a good time with this one. I put it up there with some of my favorite, rape revenge films, like I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left and stuff. It's awesome. I can't believe I'd never seen that before. We've never, it's never come up on the show really that much either. Like I don't think any of us have ever like reviewed it, even on when we used to do the What We Watch segment.
I never talked about it on 22 Shots. No, I did a top 10 when I used to do top 10 Tuesday, top 10 rape revenge. That was either it was in my top 3, Miss 45, and it's up there. It's up. I can't remember, but
yeah, it's just like a very gritty
videos. Awesome I probably couldn't even title anymore. I probably couldn't do top 10 rape revenge because it's literally titled that now.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I wonder if that video is even flagged. It's not even available for people to see anymore. I don't know. But
well, I already know that we never hit the algorithm anymore.
What's that?
Our video, the videos for 22 Shots and
absolutely not.
The Vincent, we don't ever get in the algorithm like we used to.
No, absolutely not. No, because we're too good.
Yeah.
The algorithm's all for the shit stuff. So
so those were the 5 that I did. Overall, a pretty good week of watching.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, only one in there I didn't recommend, which is Don't Go in the Woods.
Man, maybe one day you'll grow up, man. You'll grow up.
But overall, I mean, I was pretty happy with those randomized titles. Like they were all ones that I wanted to watch for a while. Especially that Biozombie one. That was a surprise.
Yeah, when I watched it too, it was also a first time watching it. Completely blew me away.
Yeah, that's cool.
So much fun. So much fun.
But that's how I did mine.
All right, so I got a few here. Like I said before, they're pretty much all partner label stuff that's currently available on the websites. So you should be able to find these if you're interested. If you're not, well, then don't look for them. So I don't care. I like these movies. But first up here, and I actually didn't pick this because it's a Canadian release, but from CIP, Canadian International Pictures, is a movie I've been wanting to see for years. I always knew about this film. It's directed by Bruce McDonald, who did Pontypool, Hardcore Logo, stuff like that. And it's called Roadkill. It's not a horror film. It's basically kind of like a rock and roll film in a sense. It's like, I want to say that Bruce McDonald, he probably did like two of the best like rock movies of all time, like Hardcore Logo and Roadkill. This is a really interesting movie. It's basically about this girl here. She works for a record company, and this band that's out on tour that's, part of this label kind of goes AWOL, and they missed a couple of their shows. So the head of this company sends her out to go find them. But the funny thing is, she can't. Again, this movie's like, it's very kind of tongue in cheek, and it's got like, it's full of the quirkiest fucking characters in it. You learn that right away. So she can't drive. So he's like, well, how the fuck are you going to get over to like Sudbury? It's like, it's all in Ontario stuff. It's like regional, very regional film. So she takes a fucking cab. She takes a cab to go find this fucking band, where this cab driver is like the most quirky character. But then, of course, this whole movie is about her journey trying to find this band, and she comes across like this serial killer and all these weird ass characters and shit. It is so much fucking fun. The music is super cool in this. We get cameos from Joey Ramones actually shows up in the fucking movie. It's pretty cool. The music's really cool. But the whole movie is just like this one weird piece of like black and white weirdness that you just don't know where it's heading. And then the third act hits, and it's like, what the fuck? It's got the greatest ending, dude. It comes out of fucking left field. It's bananas. It's pretty cool. Highly recommend Roadkill. Really, really fun film from CIP. If you guys like, it's something like Pontypool, but like, Hardcore Logo and shit like that. Really fucking cool, man.
Sounds awesome.
It's fucking really cool. It's a quirky film full of interesting dialogue and weird characters and weird moments, and like the finale is totally bizarre. Like there's it's one of those, it's so engaging through the whole thing because you don't really know where it's going to go. Like you just don't know, and it's pretty cool. It's very interesting. Second up here is a film from Altered Innocence, which is a label that kind of specifies in like, gay and lesbian films and stuff like that. I think that's what they mostly kind of do. This one they put on the label because of who stars in it, which is, he was not Alexis Arquette at the time of this movie, but it's a film called Jack Be Nimble. This is from 1993, and this is a horror film. It's a film from New Zealand. It's a New Zealand film. And it's basically about, he plays a character, Jack, and his sister. They are basically abandoned by their biological parents. The parents just really don't want them. They give them up for adoption. They send them off to an orphanage where they get adopted by different families. Jack goes off to a really abusive household where he's the only boy in the family. He's got 4 sisters and shit. And his sister, Dora, she goes off to like this kind of white privileged family. She has a pretty good life and stuff like that. And so they live polar opposite lives. The thing is, she has like these weird kind of like supernatural abilities and stuff. And, she feels like one day she feels like Jack is in serious danger. So she needs to go and find him and stuff. So they reunite, they find each other. And then that's when the shit just goes batshit. This movie just gets fucking crazy. It's very bizarre. Now, if you're familiar with New Zealand cinema, it has that feel and look. You know what I'm talking about? If you're watching like it just has that feel. It's hard to explain. What the fuck is that New Zealand feel? What is that?
It's like goofy Australian.
It's weird. It has that like really warm aesthetic to it, but I don't know. There's something about you can always tell a New Zealand film, but it definitely has that aesthetic to it. Very, very bizarre film. This is so unique and interesting. I can't believe that this has not been more talked about because it's an early 90s film.
Movie mentioned before, but I never like ever heard anyone talk about it.
I'm just kind of shocked. Maybe it's because of the time it came out in 93, maybe didn't get wider release. I have no idea what the story is with this, really. I knew about this movie. I just recently watched this a few months back, rewatched it again a couple nights ago. But I was totally enthralled in this movie. It's got this weird kind of like modern gothic feel to it with these supernatural elements and just straight up weirdness, but it has a lot of commentary in it too. It's really interesting. And Alexis Arquette, rest in peace to her, sorry, be politically correct here, but he does it. His performance in this movie, their performance, amazing. So good. He fucking kills this role. It's probably the best role he ever had. He's so good in this. So, but yeah, Jack B. Nimble from Alternate Innocence. Check that one out.
I've heard of that movie before. I think when I was doing research for when I was just going through the years for summer series one year or something. And right. I didn't even know they released that, so I'm gonna probably pick that up.
It's fucking really worth your time.
It's been sitting on my shelf for a long time and I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
who released it?
Isn't Alternate Innocence defunct now?
Yeah, they're not on that label anymore.
They're not? They're defunct now?
Yeah. Yeah, because
that's not even available on the website. I'm looking for it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know they were gone from there. Yeah, really? When did they leave?
Recently, because they DQ'd The Strangler for me.
I did not know they just recently left. I did not know they were gone.
Yeah, Moodz breaking his own rules.
Well, whatever. I mean, fuck, man.
I just went to go buy this from fucking.
That's the point I'm trying to make here. That's the point I'm trying to make. That these partner labels are coming and going so quick. I didn't even realize that Alternate Innocence was gone because they put out what was the modern film a couple years ago? Knife
Plus Heart.
Knife Plus Heart, which I loved. Good. Yeah, that movie I grabbed. That's a great fucking movie too, and I didn't realize they'd left. I guess I probably should have checked the website to make sure that all these were still there.
I kind of knew it immediately when you were talking because I was like, oh, I'm not going to bother watching The Strangler then. But I was like, I'm not going to blow up his spot.
Dude, I didn't even look. Yeah, well, whatever. I mean, the point, whatever. Sure, you can still find it, but
Strangler was great.
This one definitely is readily available. It's from Umbrella, which they're still on there, and it's called Sons of Steel. This is a film from, I believe, 1988. Yeah, 1988. It's an Australian film, obviously from Umbrella, and it's pretty much a musical. But it's one of those musicals where you don't realize you're watching a musical because it's one of those.
That's very rare for me. Like the only films that are like fucking Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka.
Yeah, it's totally it's like that. There's so much movie to it, and then they have these musical pieces in there too. But like it starts out with basically the lead singer in this is actually the lead singer of the band, and you get the soundtrack in here too and stuff like that. I can't remember what his name is. The fuck does he play? It's Black Alice, and I think that's the name of the band too. But he plays this like political, like he's against like all these like political bad, like he's a political warrior. And anyways, like he accidentally causes like this huge catastrophe and shit like that. It's set in the future, so he basically ends up getting sent back in time, so he's got to figure out a way to basically change the future because this huge catastrophe kind of happened. I don't really want to give everything away on it, but it is fucking awesome, dude. This is such a cool, it's got one of the coolest aesthetics to it. Our lead character, Black Alice, is so fucking likable, man. He's like, it's very typical Australian, just like, he's like a big muscle lead singer and shit. I don't know how to really break it down, but he's so
like a mixture between like Rob Halford and like the singer of AC/DC.
Exactly. He's got that voice of like, he totally feels like AC/DC and Rob. 100%. He's super likable though, man. There's something about him, but the music is super catchy in the film, the pieces and stuff. But like the whole aesthetic of the movie, man, and like the characters throughout it, super bizarre. It's a very interesting idea for like a musical. But again, it's one of those films. Which would you agree with that, Tony? You don't feel like you're really watching a musical because there is a lot of actual movie and dialogue in it.
Yeah, and then I would also say it doesn't feel like a musical because like a lot of the songs in it just feel like live performance, like
Yeah.
band songs, like you're just watching a band playing like live. Like
Like
that's
the
kind of like how I felt, kind
well,
of just like a rock opera almost.
I feel like that's the way the movie starts out, and it kind of keeps that straight tone. Is that it starts out with Black Alice, um, performing like he's performing the cover song, right? And he's doing that there, and then it kind of said, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty fucking cool. And then you get into like this, whole dialogue and like the movie stuff, but like there is a moment where he gets transformed into like basically nothing, right? Like, that's the weirdest scene in the film where these scientists basically transform into like nothing. I don't even know how to explain it, but then these barbarians like set him free into this like alternate reality, and it's so bizarre. Like it's honestly super nonsensical at times because it really doesn't even make a lot of sense. But
Yeah, you just have to go with it.
you just kind of have to flow with it. Like he gets transformed basically into matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he gets brought back by these barbarians somehow. I think it was just like the swing of the sword or something like that. But anyway, he's in this alternate reality where everything's all fucking doom and gloom and shit. But man, what a fun fucking time, dude. I watched this a few months back and just fell in love with it. I love the music in here. And I think it's very cool release because they actually have the CD soundtrack in here. It's not just like on the disc, like I said, you can actually listen to the CD soundtrack, which is pretty cool. But such a fun one, man. I mean, I'm not usually the hugest fan of musicals, but this shit I enjoyed so much. So, Australian film, it probably did it justice because I love Australian cinema so much. I like the aesthetics, I like the characters, and like again, it does have a bunch of weird fucking characters. Like all these Australian movies, like it almost feels like these characters are just made to kind of steal scenes, and like they're overacting at times, but it works out really. It works out perfect. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain those characters, but
It's almost like just natural Australians like talking just because they're always just so bombastic, like naturally. So it's like us watching that, we just see them just like being so lively.
I guess, right. I mean, I never knew how to explain it because the characters come off as being so bizarre, but they're so likable at the same time. It's so weird. It's so weird. But yeah, Sons of Steel, fucking awesome movie, man. Really, really good stuff. Next one here is from 2018. I think this one came out in, I want to say, 2018, and that is Commando Ninja. And I hope these guys are still on the ETR Media. You guys seen?
Yeah,
Commando
they put out like YouTube documentaries now. They don't put out like actual movies anymore. Doesn't
I know.
seem.
I know. I noticed that, and it's kind of a shame because this is one of their first releases that they put out. It was like their second one. So this is obviously a modern film. It's basically, if you've ever seen Schwarzenegger's Commando, it's got kind of the same plot as that, where this guy right here is like, he's like a retired, I think it was Vietnam vet. Yeah, Vietnam vet and stuff like that. Anyways, he's back in the real world and stuff, and his daughter gets kidnapped. That's the plot of Commando. So now he's got to go fucking fight against all these people that kidnapped his daughter because it's a dude that he knows, and he kidnapped her because he wants to take over the world and stuff. But it has like this futuristic thing and stuff. Holy flying fuck, is this movie ever fun, dude? The problem is with this film is that it only runs about an hour, 8 minutes or something like that. And when the third act should be starting, it ends. Like, I think they completely ran out of money. It literally fucking ends. This movie is so fun. So much practical effects, so much goddamn gore, but it really parodies, like, it obviously does Commando. It does. All the characters in this film are based on, American Ninja characters, like all these type of movies from the 80s. Now, one thing I heard some guy say, he's like, oh, fucking Commando Ninja. They did everything improper because it basically takes place in 1986. And there's this opening scene where his daughter is playing Nintendo, but she's playing like fucking, this game that hasn't come out till like 89. You can see on the ground, there's like Mario 3 games and like all these movies that are like post 1986. It's done on purpose though. You got to remember, this is actually a French movie. It's dubbed in English. And people are like, oh, they didn't know what the fuck they're doing. I think it's part of the joke, right? Because there's no way that someone put that much errors into their film, right? There's no way. There's so many posters that are post 1986 and like all these video games and all this shit. It's part of the joke. this is one
yeah,
of the
there probably wasn't like a single like pre-86 like reference, was there?
No, there isn't. It's like all after 86. It's fucking hilarious, dude. It's so funny. Um, this is one of the funnest movies I've watched in years. Like I had such a blast with this. Like I said, the biggest disappointment though is like there's a scene right at the end of the film where it kind of comes together and then the credits start rolling. I'm like, what the fuck? The third act should be rolling. So it's kind of bizarre like that. I don't know if that's part of the joke, but it does leave me kind of going, shit, dude, I want the end of the movie here. Awesome. Awesome. I can't believe you haven't seen this, Tony.
It's another one that I bought and it's just been chilling on my shelf.
Dude, 68 minutes. You'll love this. It's so much fucking fun, dude. It's insanely gory. It's got so much kill. It's ridiculous. Actually, the effects in this are, and surprisingly, how this is shot, it doesn't look like a $5 movie at all. It looks way bigger than it is. It's actually really crazy. You got to see this. You'll love this. I know you'll love this. But Commando Ninja, highly recommend. Yeah. It's really good stuff. From Saturn's Core, I picked this one because I kind of figured that you were going to have some of the earlier ones on there. And I have talked about a lot of the earlier Saturn's Core. I've either reviewed them and stuff like that. But I want to talk about Brian Paulin's one of his first films. It's not his first major film. I think he had one before this, but At Dawn They Sleep. I'm a big Brian Paulin fan, and this was actually like a first time watch me. I had never seen this one. I've actually reviewed like all of his other movies at one point or another. But yeah, this one basically is a vampire film. And going back to what we were talking about before with the whole DV era, this was like 99, 2000, shot in 99, released in 2000 kind of thing. So it has that type of look to it. But again, if you're familiar with Brian Paulin films, you know, like you're going to get some crazy practical effects, super, super gory, just nasty shit. It's a different type of film for him. It feels like it's like a vampire action film in a sense. It's totally different than he ended up doing with like Bone Sickness and Fetus and, you know, and all those fucking insane movies that he did later on. But this is really cool. This is a cool release from Saturn's Core because I've been wanting to see this whenever. I know it had a DVD release, I want to say years ago from somebody. Never got around to picking that up. So I was happy to see this one get released. But yeah, if you're familiar with, and that's the era.
That's why. That's why I never picked up the DVD, is that fucking cover right there. I'd always say, and she's like, what the fuck is this garbage?
This is fucking late 90s, early 2000s DV quality. And then the cover is just accentuated. Look at that. Terrible.
Now I love it.
But yeah, if you're into Brian Paulin, I just quickly wanted to reference that one because that was really fun too. I really enjoyed that. Brian Paulin actually plays the lead character throughout the whole movie in this one too. So pretty cool.
He is so like Bostonian. Like you would probably really enjoy that, Tyler, just because it's such a fucking Massachusetts movie. Like all of his movies are just Massachusetts movies.
But his accent is he's so pronounced as a Bostonian that it actually comes off sounding fake.
Exactly. It is so fucking textbook Bostonian. It's unbelievable.
Fucking hilarious how it sounds like he's putting it on. It's so like it's crazy. Like
I was dying at like the Boston accents and just phrases and Thanksgiving. So it was so accurate.
All right, so the last one, which is the sixth one.
Love it.
This is kind of a bonus one, but I wanted to bring up the VSA. This is an older one. Champagne and Bullets. Have you seen this one, Tony?
Absolutely. That movie is a fucking masterpiece.
Isn't that one out of print too?
So if you are into really, man, it's a passion project that it's, you know, by default is not the greatest thing in the world, but it's so fucking amazing to watch. So basically the stories with this movie is that the lead character in this movie, this guy right here, I can't remember what his real name is, but he wrote, directed, like produced, and fucking starred in this movie. And not only did he do that, he actually wrote and performed the songs that are throughout the soundtrack in this too, which is another crazy thing. Now, the Shimmy Shake, once you hear the Shimmy Shake, you'll never, ever get it out of your fucking head. It is so ridiculous. Like, it's crazy.
Performs it live.
Performs the whole fucking song live. But I will give him credit, man. Like, you got Wings Hauser in here. Basically, the plot is, you know, he's a cop with Wings Hauser. They get fucked over. They get kicked off the police force and shit like that. Wings Hauser goes down a fucking rabbit hole. He's all shit. And lead character, his name is Rick, I think. He he has this girlfriend. While they were kind of broken up and shit, she got all fucking straight off, and she got caught up with the satanic cult and stuff like that.
As you do.
Yeah, as one thing leads to another, he ends up going after this cult leader and stuff, which he ends up finding out that there's certain things with him and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. I mean, the story in the movie actually kind of makes a lot of fucking sense. It's kind of fun. Girlfriend in the movie, super beautiful. But I tell you, man, this is one of those movies that it's one of those so bad it's amazing films in such a good way. I hate using those terms, but it's a regional film that just has so much damn heart. And I give him all the props in the world for putting that much effort into one movie. There's not too many people that can do all the shit that he did for this. It's the one and only film that he ever directed, but I gotta say, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this shit out, man. So, Champagne and Bullets, really
Isn't
good
that
stuff.
out of print?
I'm pretty sure it is, because that's why I don't own this one.
There's no standard for this now?
They don't do standards.
They don't
for the
do standards for
VSAs.
VSAs.
Oh, right. See, I don't pay attention to this shit. I just buy them and watch them.
Yeah, because even when I got into Vinegar Syndrome, like going on it, like
dude, I didn't realize this is an old one. It's like number 15, because I think the new one that just came out was number 45. So this is like 30 ago. So yeah, this one is a little bit old, but
oh yeah, this is pricey. I'm looking at the eBay sold listings. I'm looking at 130, 120, 150.
It was already out of print like 2 years ago when I got
dude,
wow.
What a fucking shame if you missed out on this, because this is one of the best VSA releases, man. Hands down.
That's why it's expensive, because that's literally one of the best ones they put out. Like, that movie is incredible.
It's from 1993, by the way. Again, which I just realized, like, all these movies are from like the same era, like 88 to like 90. Well, except for the Commando Ninja, but it's a throwback. Like, it's like an 80s film, but
most awkward sex scenes too. It's pretty fucked up to watch.
Yeah,
because it's like he's fucking the girls, and you could tell they're just so like uncomfortable doing it, and he's just like, ooh.
That's the one downfall to the movie, though. It has these ridiculous sex scenes that go on for way too long. It's so funny because there's a sex scene, and then they get married, and then there's another sex scene for like 10 minutes.
Well, I love the sex scenes because, like, not only are they just like awkward as fuck to watch, but his music is in the background.
But I gotta say, man,
even better.
His girlfriend in the movie is super hot. Like, she's fucking
great.
Super fucking hot casting on her, man. Like, fuck, it's crazy.
Exactly. No wonder she was so awkward.
Oh, dude, but the shimmy. If there's one reason to ever watch this movie, is for his performance of the shimmy shake. Oh my god, dude, you'll never forget it. You'll never ever forget it. It's
people like square dance to it. It's pretty crazy. It's like he performs the entire song too. It's like a 10-minute scene.
It's like a music video in the middle of the movie, but it's better than like the Howling 7, where the whole movie is just like shot in this bar and it's like one big fucking shitty music video.
God, that might actually be the same fucking bar. Like, you know what I mean? It's just such a fucking stereotypical bar.
Right.
Midwestern ass bar.
But Wings Hauser's great in it, though. Like, he's hamming it up quite a bit. And like, actually, the funny thing about Wings Hauser in this movie, like, I've never watched the special features, but I want to say that he was completely annihilated and shit-faced drunk in every fucking scene for real in this movie. Like, he does play like a character that, you know, he's supposed to be losing it, and he's drinking a lot and stuff, and he's going down this rabbit hole of bad shit and stuff. But legitimately, there's one scene, I think it's the pool scene, where he looks just fucking trashed but I think he was in the 90s. He was completely a wreck, right? Like, he was actually like a full-blown alcoholic, like, and it makes kind of sense.
He had to have been in that scene, because not only was he just like having a regular conversation at pool, he was like fully clothed. Like, he had like shirt, jeans, shoes, and he's just like completely in water while just
But that scene where he's like in his apartment and he's like talking about he can't pay his bills and shit, and he freaks out on his girlfriend and he's like, "You're sleeping with all my friends," blah blah blah, and he fucking smacks up in the beer and shit. I'm like, dude, you are trashed right now. I'm thinking, you just spilled your fucking beer, bro.
He's got like a Native American like imaginary friend. What the hell was that all about?
I don't know, man.
Great movie.
It's so much damn fun. All right, so yeah, I kind of fucked up my rules a little bit, but I honest to God did not know Alternate Innocence was gone. So
it's worth $150. Trust me.
Out of print.
Man, that sucks too, man. So what's Jack B. Nimble going for? Crazy money too? Fucking what an idiot I am. I'm recommending this shit like, I can't afford that. It's $150.
These are the movies I want you to pick up. How do I pick them up, Moodz?
It sucks that Champagne and Bullets is so fucking expensive. That movie
Honestly,
should just be available.
I hate that. Like,
So
I hate how limited those VSAs are.
Yeah.
I missed out on like
this one was limited to. Well, this was a 6,000 one. I got 560. That's crazy.
I'm bummed out. I missed out on the Black Cat ones. I was gonna pick those up like when they're half off.
Wait, that sold out too?
Yeah, that sold out pretty quick.
Is the Black Cat's not VSA? Is it?
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, it is VSA. Yeah, right.
It was gonna be like in my top 5 as my number 5, but then I realized it was a Black Friday release.
It's actually, it has a booklet in there too, so it's like a thicker case. It doesn't look like a.
Right. I was actually considering putting that in my list too because those are really fun.
Maybe love it at
release.
Sometimes
I think the reason why I didn't though is because I have the 88 Black Cat and I was like, well, I basically just got this one for part 2 kind of thing, but whatever. It is what it is. All right, Tyler. All right, so we are back after a little bit of technical difficulties, and you haven't noticed, we're all wearing different clothes and look tired, and it's not the same day. In fact, it's like 4 days later. So my internet surge
Tyler, no, it was Tyler's fault. Don't take the blame, Moodz.
Ah, fuck, man. I mean, it is what it is.
I got really nervous, so I just thought it.
He's like, my recommendations aren't going to be good enough, man. They're going to hate me.
I need another 4 days.
I need another 4 days to watch more.
Yeah. So anyways, what happened was I was having a storm, internet surged, and when Zoom shuts down, it starts to bounce down the video, which was like 3.5 hours long. So it took 20 minutes. These guys didn't have any patience. They got off.
No, to be fair, you should have been like, oh, my power's back or my internet's on now. Just give me a minute.
Well, I didn't
you
realize.
Didn't say anything.
No.
I sitting there for an hour.
I didn't realize because it wasn't connecting, but I didn't realize that the internet had actually come back on my phone. But on my computer, it wasn't connecting because it was downloading the Zoom, which took 20 minutes. And then as soon as that was done, it was like, bam, my internet came back on my computer. I don't know what the fuck that's about. I don't know why that would even affect it, but it did. Anyways, we're here 4 days later. Things have changed in the world. Maybe not. I have no fucking.
What if we were like all happy in the first part, right? And then like some catastrophic event happened. We just come back like, oh,
it's the post-apocalypse.
No, it is crazy actually because we were recording on a Thursday night, and I mean things did actually happen in my life. The next day, my grandma died.
Oh, dude, yes, totally sorry.
Right, so that happened on Friday, and now we're recording this Monday. So the reason why it's so much later is because I was heading out to my cabin on Friday, and just before I was heading out there, I got the news, and yeah, so it's been a really long weekend. But
how old was she?
89. She had a life.
Yeah.
And she was totally all there too. Like she was fine. She accepted it. She actually kept telling us for years that she wanted to go. She was just so with it though.
Isn't it funny how like a lot of like old people are like, they have like a, I don't give a damn attitude about dying. They're just like, whenever I go.
I mean, I guess when you get that old, it's like, you know, the inevitable is coming sooner than later. Right. And it's amazing too. Cause she was fine like a week ago, but then got some fluid on the lungs and it just goes. Like when you're old, you can't recover from it, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it is what it is. And, you know, that's kind of what you wanted. So, but on a lighter note, we are back on the show. And I guess where it cut off, I was just rounding up my recommendations. So I was passing off to Tyler. I'll have to figure out. I haven't actually watched back the video where it cut off, but I think it was right about the time I was saying, yo, Tyler, it's your go. So,
yeah.
Without further ado,
you're pointing and like the screen froze because
without further ado, yeah. It's your go, man.
All right. So I got 5 here, and my strategy for this was I have three right away. One I watched earlier this year, and two I watched last year that were my first and second favorite new watches of the year, like total.
Damn.
They're both have to be partner labels, so I want to talk about those. And that one from earlier in the year, and then for the rest of my stack, I had probably around 12 or so unwatched partner labels, and I watched most of them, and I just picked like my favorite ones from that stack to fill out the five. Yeah, we're gonna roll with that. Blonde Death was one of them, so that's kind of also why I use that in the top five releases of the year, so I could like sneak that one in. But without further ado, we're gonna start.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I thought that was a 2023 movie. I didn't even include that.
No, yeah, that was a January release.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Fuck, man, I should have watched it. I still haven't watched it. It's still sitting out like on my table, man. That sucks.
Yeah, everyone was so hyped about it. It's like I felt like I had to buy it. But yeah. Anyways, our first one comes from Yellow Veil Pictures, and it's a movie I picked up last year on the halfway to Black Friday sale, and it is Wasis J. Haas's The Hourglass Sanatorum. This is a very, very unique movie. It's kind of
That is the most Tyler title ever, right there.
this is the most Tyler movie ever.
He's been pipping this movie out.
Dude, this feels like it. This is like surreal. It's like, all right, like it's like we looked for a pretentious Jeremy fill-in after that was less annoying.
We this was not planned.
This is like, what the fuck, dude?
That is so funny.
This is probably the most pretentious movie on my list.
Okay.
But
we're starting with the
we're starting strong. This was my second favorite movie I saw for the first time last year. And basically what this is a man, our main character Yosef, receives news that his father's passed away at the sanatorium he's staying that he's living at or being treated at. So he takes a train to the sanatorium. In the sanatorium, it's like it's like kind of like a mystical realm. It's like it's dilapidated. Like he walks in, it's like destroyed, it's dilapidated. It's not like a real like hospital. So it's like we're in the fantasy realm. And time at this place doesn't work as time normally does. And they tell him when he's arrived that his father has died, but time hasn't gotten that far at the sanatorium yet. So basically what's happening in here is this character Yosef is just wandering around the sanatorium, and they all have just like different rooms, and they're not just like rooms. Like some of them are like villages, but like every different room can be anything. And it's basically him. My interpretation of this is he's wandering around like this weird space between life and death, wandering through like his memories, his father's memories, and the memories of the Jewish people. I definitely don't understand a lot about this movie. It's Polish from the early 70s.
Does it kind of feel like it's set in like a purgatory or something like that? Like you're kind
exactly.
of stuck in between?
I think that's exactly what I thought the first time I watched it. It's like, I don't know if I call it purgatory now, but it's like almost this weird realm between like life and death, where like there's clearly like some sort of fantasy, and there's a lot of like scenes of like there's clearly a lot that's like important about like religion in this movie that I don't understand, and there's like scenes of like Hasidic Jews, like Judaism is very pronounced like as a theme throughout this, and I think it has a lot to do with like the collective like faith and like memories of these people through timeline, because he walks in like that makes sense. Fields, like different villages, like these other like grand rooms, and it's like I didn't understand this movie like at all, other than like the greater themes of it the first time I saw it, and like I was focusing too hard this time trying to like interpret everything as I like got a lot like as I went along, and I got like frustrated a little bit, and I just like around 40 minutes in I was like, I'm gonna stop like trying to just like interpret everything, and I'm just gonna like let the movie flow, and it worked a lot better for me like that this way. This is kind of a movie you just like kind of take every like little like vignette or like room or like sequence like at face value, and then whatever you feel about the end is like what you feel about it. It's definitely a movie that will not work for some people, and some like, and then there's gonna be people like me that were like they're so like mystified and like curious about this movie that like you'll watch it again and you'll like start to form like your opinion on it. Average just like sits in you over time. It's very much a movie like that. I would compare this to the film I would probably compare this most to is Andre
The Cremator.
Tarkovsky. No,
I was actually just thinking about this because I was like, I mean, we're watching this movie going. That's a great example of a film that I was just talking about, JP, or before we started recording, about maybe not fully understanding what's going on. I mean, it is hard to interpret, like, for us living over here in the Western world, some of the themes that are going on in these foreign films too, right? Because we don't fully understand the cultures and things like that. And I can see the Cremator being a little
in
bit
the
confused.
history and the politics,
Exactly.
Like,
so that's
stuff
why
I know, but like some of these films are
right,
really like,
and I think going back to what Tyler said about watching the movie.
Yeah,
going back to what you said about like just you got frustrated while watching the movie and you decided to watch it for face value. I think sometimes as a Western viewer in some of these foreign films that are super heavy dealing with, what you said, like timeline stuff and culture and religion and stuff that we fully don't understand, is probably a better way to take the film and try to, instead of trying to decipher every little thing. Because when you get to that point, you said you got frustrated. I would also get frustrated, but sometimes when we watch these movies for these type of shows, we try to dig deeper and figure out the metaphors and figure out the religious aspects and figure out exactly what they're trying to say. But let's face it, I mean, we can be as smart as we can be, but at the same time, we're not going to figure it completely out.
Yeah, you guys.
And it's not even a bad thing. It's not even a bad thing. Well, but I feel like with the Cremator, though, I feel like the themes in that movie weren't as dramatically hard to figure out than you were making it out to be. I don't know if you just lost interest in the film and stuff. There was no damn
drama in that movie at all.
I just feel like the theme and like what they were trying to say and stuff wasn't like, I liked it. I mean, I didn't think it was overly that confusing, but I can see.
I think the only thing they were trying to say is like, let's be boring for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was the game plan.
I think that one's a little bit more deep rooted in like maybe some historical context, but I don't think you really need any of that other context for this movie to like be something you get.
Did you pick 5 out of print titles like Moodz?
I picked no out of print titles.
I do apologize for that because it's funny. It's funny. I pride myself on doing research, and like I just assumed that Altered Innocence was still there. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know why I just didn't go to the page and be like, hey, because Altered Innocence literally would have been the first one on the label page. Fuck me, man.
It did seem really quiet, them leaving. Like Deaf Crocodile, like when they left,
it was loud.
Like, seemed to like make way bigger rounds.
Well, there was a couple. I think Deaf Crocodile was a big one. I think when Fun City left too, that was another one that people were talking about a lot. And TerraVision.
And Culture Shock.
Culture Shock was still, I don't understand that what's going on with that shit because they're still not dropping anything. But yeah, those are all. It just, to me, all the good labels are kind of just not there anymore. Sucks.
Yeah, I mean, what's the one, like the best one right now is probably Saturn's Core, right? And Agfa.
I'll get
Saturn's Core and Agfa put out lots of good stuff, man. But so
Bleeding Skull's definitely like climbing up that ladder.
I feel like Bleeding Skull is kind of like, in a sense, it's kind of like Saturn's Core. They put out very kind of, the shot on video, the very hard to find shit that they're doing a really good job with those releases too. So I respect that. But I think that art label, I was actually going to showcase that one release. I don't even have it here. The one that has like all the mini short films on it and stuff. I think it was like Surf Reality or something.
Surf Reality, yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, so basically it was created by the guy that started The Mutilator from 1984, and he actually directed 4 of the 10 shot on video films. And I watched the first one, which was like something Scarface, Kid Scarface or something like that. And it's fun. It's actually really good. I was going to talk about it, but I just didn't dive too deep into it. But they're all about an hour long, and it was kind of created for. I think it was created. The story is it was created for like movie of the month type of thing, but it was like I think people that were doing these plays and stuff, they kind of got together and, hey, let's make a bunch of short movies and kind of put it out as like this collective. And he did 4 of them and shit, and they're various different kind of genres and stuff like that. But the first one I thought was really cool. It was like kind of like a street kind of thing, Kid Scarface thing, and it was fun. It was really fun, man. I really enjoyed it. So, but that's from Art Label. So like a brand new. Remember, I was making fun of it. I was like, they're called Art Label.
Right? It sounds like that's something for me.
Like I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
But yeah, this is like just full on surrealism. Like the set designs in this is absolutely insane. Like the costume and like lighting. Like even if like you like whatever like might find this like movie boring or something. If, by the way I'm describing it, like those like I think those things are done so well that it's like enticing, and it's just like you're like every like new room you see is like it is so unique in its own way, and it's like they're all just like visually incredible.
I like movies like. So is it set in modern times, or is it like
it's it's set in modern times. It's just but like this realm is like there are like he goes like he's in like it feels like he's in like different timelines when he's like exploring this room.
So what's that movie that we watched from that weird Canadian director just recently? Was
it the one Keyhole that I had like
Keyhole? Yeah, dude, that movie. That when you were describing it, kind of reminded me of that, because he's kind of in the movie. It's kind of like set in this purgatory type, inner reality, right, between death and. But I think that's what it's exploring. It's going through memories, and it's doing like all that type of the same type of thing. It's very, very artsy and weird.
If I could compare this to any movie, I would probably say this is most similar to Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker, where they're just in this like mystical like or like the laws of like physics like don't apply, and they're just going on this like inward journey. And like his father's also like in these like dreams and like nightmares that he's like walking through. It's actually listed as a horror movie on IMDb, but I wouldn't really call it one just because it has that like.
What year did that movie come out?
73, I think.
73.
73. Yeah. But I felt like basically at the end, I think most people will take this away. I felt like this was a movie where he was just like he went to visit his father, and now he's wandering like through his like memories and like these like important like things from their people in these dreams like one last time, and he's like coping with the death of his father. Like that's what I got away from it both times, like out of like broader themes. And I think like if I don't think there's one true meaning with a lot of these movies. It's whatever they make you feel and what you think. And like this is the type of movie where they just put it all out there and you're gonna get what you get out of it. But yeah, it's a very unique film. I'd highly recommend this one. That's from Yellowvale. My second one here, this is one of the winners from my pile, and it's actually a film that I picked up as a daily deal in the earlier sale this year. And it was also on the daily deal this year, this just past sale. So I take a look at if I might look out for that in the future if this sounds good. It's from Big World Pictures, and it's Tsai Ming Lang's Rebels of the Neon God. This is in a I always kind of like had my eye on this movie, and like I jumped on it when I saw it came on the daily deal, because this is I'm a pretty big fan of the 80s and 90s movement of film from Taiwan, the commonly referred to as the Taiwan New Wave, and he's like one of the big directors from that. This is his first film, and it's kind of like a disaffected youth story. It starts out with like you see these two like young adult, like late teens, early 20s guys, like the film set in modern times. It's 1994, so they're like robbing a payphone. They have like the tools to do that. And it cuts between this kid living at home with his parents.
Damn.
Yeah, they're like mining out, they got drills, and they're like drilling out payphones, like stealing quarters in the opening scene. There's this kid, and then there's another kid, Xiao Kang, that lives with his family, and he's like kind of like in that like angsty like youth stage, and doesn't get and his parents are like strict and like force him to go to a type of school, and he doesn't want to do that. So it's kind of just like introduces to these two characters, and it's very much just like a vibe in like slice of life movie, and it's really about that Kang character being drawn to this kind of like youth gang nightlife. There's a lot of really great scenes of them just kind of like crossing paths unknowingly, like at the arcade, and like that's and they do a really good job of just like setting like almost like this like nightlife like arcade is like kind of like where the gangs meet. They have like all this like night lighting, and they use like the glows of like the arcade cabinets to like create this like real neon effect where you have like all these like shots of like the characters, and like the lighting is the glow on their face, and it's like the way it's like cut with the music, it's really it says a lot without saying anything. Just the way like they meld these together, like these are where these two different people like meet up. Uh, yeah, it just you watch like you cuts back and forth between like the kid Kang and then the two older like gang members. They like them with like how they treat their women, them getting involved with them, like the shitty apartment they live in. So like, but as the movie goes on, it like you kind of see the kid like start to follow these guys because he has an interaction with them right at the beginning of the movie where they like break his dad's window or something. But he like idolizes these kids and kind of like runs away from home and starts like following him around, and then eventually like starts evolving like more into like that sort of gang life. And it's just like a very quiet like static camera, like these are like things happening in these people's lives and they're intertwining type of movie. It's very slow moving. I liked it a lot. I like all the lighting, and I like the framing, and just like the pacing. The music in this is absolutely on point, and it just like wraps together to have like a really ambiguous, like kind of like not like kind of like bitter ending, and it just like sticks with you. And being this guy's first movie, he just like does a lot right, and it really like inspired me to want to go check out more of this stuff. Um, on the other side of the coin, my girlfriend watched this movie with me, and she said this movie's boring and it sucks. So that's her take.
Does the cover have any contrast to the film? Like, does it look neon and shit?
Yeah, it's very The neon comes mainly from just like the city of like the downtown of like I don't know what city they're in, but they're in Taiwan. Like the downtown lights, and it's like the glow of like these like arcade cabinets. It looks really cool. The cinematography is great in this, and like the music's really 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 good. It's like very very stylish.
It's not like synthy because I see the cover and I just see
it's very synthy, and like they're like
cool.
It was in like the time too. They're on like kind of like moped type deals, and they were kind of cool at the culture at that time. So it's got some cool shots like that. But yeah, I definitely like this movie a lot. I'm a big fan of that type of cinema. Edward Yang is like one of my favorite directors. He's like before like, and Ang Lee also came from like this same movement. So it's kind of like kind of this new way of experimental like slice of life filmmaking, and I've liked everything I've seen from it, and I definitely was looking to check out more from this guy. And that's from Big World Pictures. It's Tsai Ming-Ling's Rebels of the Neon God. So, moving on, the last three titles are all from what I would consider to be the best partner label, at least for me, and that is Film Movement. I'm not sure exactly how old these releases are. I know one of these releases actually years old. But you can buy all these right now on the website under Film Collective. So like,
yeah,
and they have been putting out new movies too, but these are almost like retroactively titled. But I would recommend these.
Yeah, they acquired. Yeah, since they moved to the site, they just all the back catalogs on there now.
Yeah, and there's some great movies like if you haven't seen them, a lot of cool genre stuff. But we'll start off with coincidentally the second film from Tsai Ming-Liang and his film Viva la Amor. What's really cool about this filmmaker, and I didn't know this when I watched Rebels of the Neon God, is the Hao Shang character, the kid that starts to like move towards the game life, is in all 10 of the that character is in all 10 of the feature films he's directed over the last 30 years, and he plays the same character in every film. So now I have the opportunity to just watch them all in order and like see the adventures of Shao Kahn.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, so that really and clearly I like this movie too. I like this one even more than Rebels of the Neon God. It's actually, you can kind of see the same perspective of the way he like really like takes his time in like film stuff. And like works on framing and just tries to capture like authentic life. They're both the same similar like slice of life movies, but this one is more of like like young adult, like being like feeling like you're like spinning in the world and like being like frustrated. Not really like kids, but like or like 20s. Like with people like it's about three characters kind of like caught in like kind of like stuck in life, either whether it be like not being able to get a career running, not being able to get anything running, you're feeling like you're like drained and like you're stuck in your career. And what was really different about this is it took away like all that like neon lighting and all like the good sim score that I found really effective. And this movie is honestly like really quiet. It does a really good job of just like saturating in its own silence and like kind of like capturing like the silent like rage and like melancholy of these characters. There's a scene where this well, I'll get into that in a second. There's three, so it's based on three main characters. There's Shao Kang from the first film. There's a realtor. That's this woman on the cover, and then there's her boyfriend. She's a realtor that's like burnt. She's lives in her own apartment. Like she's like running the candle at both two ends. She's trying to do everything to like do her job, please her parents. Like she has phones where her parents are like calling her, like expecting so much of her, like nagging. You have Kang, who's secretly living in one of the apartments that she's renting. Like he's homeless, and because we don't really know what happened between the first two films, but like he didn't go home in the first one to his parents, so like you don't really know what's happened since then. But when we meet up with him here, he's homeless and he's like he's living in like her he's living in the apartment she's leasing. I forgot exactly what his job was in this movie, but he has some type of kind of like just kind of like low level job, and he just kind of like gets by like that. But this realtor's boyfriend is kind of a freeloading bum, and she uses that empty apartment that she's trying to fill as like her like love spot for that guy. So like he goes and brings him back there, like so she can go a little afternoon delight, stuff like that. Um, and he kind of like develops. You see, like he's like the typical like guy that's a bum that like somehow has a chick taking care of him, and and I don't know if that's just like a more something that happens in this culture with how they were talking with like the disaffected youth and gang in the other movie, but the three of their lives kind of intertwine. Kang starts hanging out with like the boyfriend when like that guy comes back to the apartment one day and like sees Kang like living there, and like they kind of like have their mutual like, yeah, we're both kind of like leeching off this woman like camaraderie thing going on. And they like kind of like start hanging out. It's kind of interesting. And then you just like kind of have her in the background, like trying to keep it together, like getting lied to by these people, like being exhausted by these people, like getting burnt out. This scene right here on the cover is her like laying on a bed, and like it's a really great scene where it's one take. You see her walk up to the apartment and just like slowly like collapse on the bed in this position, and it's just like literally like a full 5 minutes of like this woman just like exhausted, like exhaling, and like the camera like not cutting, and it creates like these really. And then like she like takes a phone call afterwards, and it never cuts. It's like a 15-minute scene, and it just creates these like really like realism like immersive scenes that I thought were really great in this movie and showed a lot of confidence to be able to like just make quiet scenes like that and all come together at the end. The ending to this movie is like what really sends it home. It's just like the perfect like outburst of like emotion from one of the characters, and it just like has the confidence to linger on it for again like minutes at a time. And it's definitely a movie I will remember for that, and I am definitely going to check out his next movie. Okay. Fourth, also from Film Move It, we have a film from Takeshi Kitano, and that is his film Hanabi, also known as Fireworks. It's more commonly known as Fireworks. This movie is a little bit more actiony, but it is just as depressing. It's about a cop whose partner gets killed and his wife gets terminal cancer, and he starts making lots of questionable decisions as his life spirals out of control. And yeah, it kind of ends up being like this just really like stylish, like immersive, like mafia, like not mafia, Yakuza movie where he gets into like a lot of like a lot of debt with the Yakuza, but he's just like a badass and doesn't give a fuck. So he's just like keeps like shooting them and like kicking their ass. And he's that character that like stops like caring about life. And
he's still a cop. And he's still a cop.
No, he leaves the force. But
okay.
at points in the movie, he pretends to be a cop because he just like doesn't care anymore, and
Right.
he just starts doing like things that you're gonna do if like you don't care about the consequences of your life anymore. And yeah, it kind of like
suicide mission.
Yeah, and he starts making all this like art that like and like starts like writing like suicide messages on them. It shows like it has like some really good flashbacks, like that interweave like his trauma with like his life with his wife before she got sick, and like the incident with the cop, like his partner getting killed, and him just like at the scene like witnessing it over and over. And it's just like but it's got like this really stylish score. This is the best movie I've ever seen use like still art incorporated like into the film to like drive the story forward. There's a point where like he starts getting like interested in art, like kind of drawing his own stuff and like observing art. And they use like a lot of that just like still imagery to like kind of like progress the story and like almost use them as like chapter marks. And it was really cool. And it was a really nice contrast kind of having like that like classy like almost like artsy touch with like also having like some pretty extreme violence and uh like gunshots and blood and guts and shit. So that was really cool.
What year is that movie?
This movie is 1997. This was a big breakout movie for this guy. As far as being taken, because this guy's, I guess, a Japanese comedian that started making movies, and then he made this movie. And his movies are all like pretty dark, I guess, like this.
Oh yeah,
this movie.
And don't you remember him from like Takeshi's Castle, like
exactly.
That's
what he's like known for. So like they all were like, oh, he's just like this goofy comedian, and then he like makes like the most darkest nihilistic films like this. And this was one where they were like, okay, maybe we can like respect this guy's an actual filmmaker now.
Yeah, he's old as shit now. That's why I was asking about the year of the movie, because I'm like, it had to have been like sometime in like the 90s.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was on MXC. That's funny.
Yeah, he's like the host.
I never knew that. That's so funny. That makes me like this even more. Oh man. But yeah, this isn't a very long movie either. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes. Might be a little bit like more it's very like it's very stylistic, but at its core it's still just like a Yakuza like cop drama. And it just has like a little bit more kind of like a Wong Kar-wai film where like it's almost like it's a gang violence like movie, but it's not. But it's got like it's got that like romance soul to it. It's a Japanese movie like that, and I liked it a lot. This is the one I watched earlier this year and really liked and wanted to talk about, so I watched it again. And lastly, again from Film Move, this I don't know how old these releases are, by the way. I know, but they're available on the website. This release I think is at least like
I was muted.
This release is pretty old. This release is like something crazy, like 6 years old. But you can buy it right now on that site, and it was my favorite movie I watched the first time last year. I watched it twice, and I loved it so much. I know at least 3 of you were, or at least 2 of you were a big fan of this movie, and that is Sergio Corbucci's The Great Silence.
Oh man, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, this movie's
perfect.
Awesome. This is one of my all-time favorite westerns. Definitely my favorite. Yeah, definitely my favorite spaghetti western. Not directed by Leone, just one of my favorite westerns. Period. It's probably got my favorite character in a western ever. It would be Klaus Kinski's O Loco.
He's such a bitch.
What's like interesting about like spaghetti westerns in general is most American westerns, especially up to this time, like there was some sort of like moral compass to them, and they're all very like kind of like by the law, like right-wing movies, like good versus like kind of like clearly like good versus evil, like moral of the story type movies. And then like when Italians started messing around with like in the early, like the mid 60s, like they threw all that shit out the window and like came across with like really morally ambiguous characters and bad guys as heroes. And this in particular, this is probably like the most left-wing western I've ever seen. It's like a big statement against bounty hunters and the abuse of authoritarian power. This movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they never tried to remake like a John Wayne movie.
Yeah, like
never did it, man.
Yeah, like everyone in this movie is a bastard. But basically, what this movie is you
and way
have
more violent too.
this movie's extremely violent. It's fuck it. Like the ending scene will have like your jaw dropping.
Yeah, it's so good, man. Yeah, and but that said, the thing about this movie that always stuck with me, man, is the fucking setting.
It's beautiful.
It's
it puts
so
it
good.
so over the top. Yeah, this is a snow western.
Yeah,
so this is like
very rare.
When Quentin Tarantino made The Hateful Eight, he definitely like said, "I want to do The Great Silence."
Well, that's what his love letter kind of was. I mean, he did his own narrative, but he used that setting, which was not really adopted a lot because it's hard to do.
He made some crew members watch that and said, like, "This is what I want."
Yeah.
100%. Basically, we're introduced to Klaus Kinski's character, who's a bounty hunter who basically hides behind a lot of just like murder people with his posse, and like he never tries to capture any of the people. He just
I feel like Klaus Kinski's just playing himself in this movie.
Yeah, Klaus Kinski plays a bastard. He just like he makes jokes. He does like as long as money's involved, he'll kill. He doesn't care who's involved. He doesn't care who he sets up. And then you have the other hand. You have a character played by Jean-Louis Trignant that is like a mute gunslinger. You eventually get a backstory. And basically, his home was like his home was like ravaged by someone in Klaus Kinski's posse when he was younger, and they cut out like his vocal cords so that he never squeal on them. So now he's known as the mute gunslinger. The Great Silence is his name. That's where the title comes from. And his thing is he's known for shooting the thumbs off of his enemies so they can't ever fire a gun again. And he won't just shoot on one. Someone has to draw on him first, but he's the fastest gun in the West. So like that's what he's known for. And he's like the guy you call when you need this issue. So Klaus Kinski early on kills this woman's husband, and she calls to hire him, and he shows up in town. And as that's going on, you learn more about his story. You see the relationship form between him and the woman's husband that is trying to get revenge. And you see like the politics between Kinski and the sheriff, and the politics between this guy and the sheriff. And it's a pretty quick moving movie. Like it goes right, or it moves right along. It doesn't really linger on anything. It's got one of the best scores. The score is absolutely fantastic. Just go listen to that if you haven't heard it. It's definitely one of the most memorable scores. That just like you'll never forget like the image of like them coming up the mountain to the snowfall, and the final act of this movie is just absolutely out of this world. Anyone who likes westerns, genre films, anything, you haven't seen this is an absolute genre staple. This was a really kind of expensive release.
I think people that don't even like westerns might even like that movie.
If you like movies and you just like don't just automatically hate westerns, like you should watch this movie. This movie's incredible
because it's automatically a different visual because it's in the snow, and there's not a lot of those. There really isn't. Like people think of westerns, it's like that dry desert, on a horse, fucking blah blah blah. But no, it's a lot different.
Yeah, this really stands up there with the best spaghetti westerns and the best westerns of all time.
I think it actually, in my opinion, it might even be the best spaghetti western ever made.
It's pretty hard.
I know it's bold.
The only movies over me.
I know it's bold, but it's up there for sure. I mean,
I can see the argument why someone would rather watch this than like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, or Once Upon a Time in the West. Like 100%.
I mean, I've seen the trilogy so many times. Like, I mean, I love all three of those movies, to be honest.
Yeah, I love them all too.
But I mean, I hate the word best. Anyways, I mean, when it comes down to favorites, I don't even know how I'd honestly rank them. Like,
this would probably be my second favorite, I think. But yeah,
I do love Django though, man. I mean, there's so many like Corbucci. Dude, these movies are so good.
Like the top films of Corbucci and Leone are just like absolutely absurd.
Yeah. Like Corbucci, oh man, he always did good shit, man. Oh, fucking violent. That's what I liked about their styles, man. It's super violent. They took the American Western and they made it their own. Stepped the game up.
They made it really gritty and violent.
Yeah.
And they took like the lesson of the day away from it, which is awesome.
And Corbucci just said, "Fuck it, man. I'm just going for gold every time, man." Like it's just violence and violence. Oh, it's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah.
And anything with Thomas Milian in it, man, you're winning right there. Like Milian was the best.
This cast is great overall, top to bottom. Even the woman that I believe she's in a French film with Celine Dion that's very popular. I've seen as well, called The Samurai. But I might be looking like a jackass and be wrong, but we're gonna go with that.
Not fact checking.
Morricone did the score, so that's obviously why it's insane. And this used to be kind of an expensive release to get, so if you can catch your half off or can use your discount if you're a sub, I would definitely recommend it because like $20 for this is like an absolute steal.
Mm-hmm. And it looks beautiful. Yeah. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I know there's a UK release now, and someone was saying, I think it's in the UK. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a UK release. And they were saying the transfer's even better on that one, but
the transfer's really nice on this one.
Yeah, I know it looks really good.
If you don't feel like you need like a UK release or you're already like a sub, then I would definitely recommend this.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Incredible film.
Well, it was nice to hear about every film movement release. That was fun.
Yeah, that's label.
No, it's a fun label. It's a fun label for sure.
That's
I mean, at least they're still
they
there.
had a lot of their back catalog.
Yeah, these are all back catalog. I assume like these ones are new, or these ones are newer because.
But you know what? You did better than me. I'm the one posting shit that's out of print and not even on the fucking site. I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore.
Yeah, you can get all these on the site.
Yeah, I suck. It's the champagne and bullets thing had me thinking like
that was been on for a long time.
I'm like, it's only going for $350. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. I'm such an idiot. Like, who the fuck is gonna buy that? Stupid. And that's a shame, dude, because I feel like if you like these type of genre films, you need to have that in the collection. That's just one of those movies.
That's why it is $300 because people do want it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's our recommendations for the partner labels. And we might as well get into the featured review here, which is going to be a film from IMDb says 21. I think it was available for us in 22, was it not? Is that when we first saw it? Yeah, so it was 22. So we're going to go with the 21, but and it is called The Sadness. This has kind of got like an interesting deal to it anyways. It's directed by Rob Jabaz, who actually, Mr. Parker, just actually did a video with him. He just did a video recording talking about Extra with the director of this movie.
That's random.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Though.
So I mean, Mr. Parker. I mean, he's obviously the homeboy. Doesn't really like to work with us too much. No, he's just busy with his show. Like he's always got his own things going on. But anyways, yeah. But like what he does, he likes to get on people from directors and actors and commentators and reviewer and things like that and do these type of things. And he just happened to get this director on Extra, which is quite interesting. But I'd mention that anyways, since we're going to be talking about The Sadness. But if you don't know, Rob Jabaz is actually a Canadian director. This movie is all fully shot in Taiwan. And of course, in Taiwan, they speak Mandarin, which I actually just found that out today. I literally looked it up because I was like, what do they speak in Taiwan? I'm like, I just wanted to say it was Taiwanese, just being super ignorant, but no, they actually speak Mandarin. And the reason for it is because I guess a bunch of people migrated. They got the fuck out of China back in the 40s and it became the official language of Taiwan back in like the mid 40s. They just,
they're just like, all right, fuck it. Yeah. Everybody come here.
Yeah. So that dialect, that dialect is spoken in Taiwan. Cause I was very confused. I was like looking at the credits on here and I'm like, okay, I know it's all shot in Taiwan. And I'm like, why the fuck is the language Mandarin? Because, Mandarin, it's Chinese, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So anyways, that's what the story is there. So it's a Canadian director.
My mind's fucking blown that it was a Canadian director.
Yeah, this guy's
Canadian. I had no fucking clue.
It's a Canadian Taiwan movie.
Yeah, so this movie, it just says on IMDb straight up Taiwan because it was fully shot in Taiwan and done with Taiwanese actors. I think pretty much the whole cast is Taiwanese, actually, to be honest.
But it's speak fucking Mandarin or whatever they.
He's a fucking white dude, man. Dude, I doubt it.
How the hell did he pull this off, man?
I don't know the story, man. I honestly have never. I've never dug into the features too much on this, but I always thought it was kind of an interesting little antidotes that it was a Canadian director. You would never think this, right?
Hell no.
So very interesting. But yeah, The Sadness, quick little synopsis on the movie. It says a young couple trying to reunite amid a city ravaged by a plague that turns its victims into deranged, bloodthirsty sadists. So what's your guys' history with The Sadness? I'm assuming we've all seen this movie before this.
First time watch.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh fuck! It was my favorite movie a couple years ago. It was
I wasn't
it was my
really
number one film.
Honestly, I wasn't really watching like modern movies much that because I wasn't like prepping for podcasts. And even like last year, at November, I was at like 17 horror movies on the year, like 17 2023s.
Yeah.
So this is the first year I've really been up with it. I'm in like the mid-20s now.
Tony, you've seen this one before, right?
Yeah, I saw a couple of years ago, and of course, it blew my shitter out.
Yeah, dude, that's the appropriate way of describing this film for sure, man. The first thing I want to bring up here.
You ain't gonna ask me.
So this, well, I know you've seen this, and I know you like it. I know you.
Yeah, but does the listeners know?
Maybe.
Yeah,
not.
it was your number 10, and it was his number 1, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a movie that stuck with me afterwards. Like I thought about it from time to time. But yeah, so I am familiar with it. This is only a second time watch though.
Same.
So this is an interesting movie because when you watch it, you can't help that this movie was probably wrote and obviously created because of the shit that we just went through in the last 3-4 years, which was the COVID, the whole world shutting down because of COVID. Now, the director claims that he wrote this movie a year before. I'm not going to say he's lying or whatever, but I mean, you can't help watch this movie, even if you know that information, and be like, this is COVID. This is exactly the story of COVID. Like, you just can't separate yourself from that, especially because we're so close. I don't
remember people jumping off of roofs during COVID.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I mean, it's
exactly COVID.
No, I mean,
this was exactly the finished COVID, idea bro. Was post-COVID, but the initial idea was before COVID. I'm sure that just morphed it into whatever.
I mean, I feel like any pandemic or virus movie for the next couple years that comes out is going to feel inspired by COVID.
But I feel like, he definitely had this idea of, creating this Allen virus that kind of penetrates your brain, and it affects like your, what do you want to say? Almost like your emotional.
Crazies, bro.
It affects your emotions essentially, right? It gets down and it affects like your deepest, darkest, like almost secrets and shit like that, like your desires. It affects that type of shit. And I think what the idea of the movie is that the Allen virus brings that out of people. In my opinion, I've seen this movie 3 or 4 times now, and I think The Sadness is one of the most nihilistic films I've seen in years. And I really like that about it because no matter how you think about humans in general, we try to do good. But I think what he's trying to say here with the Allen virus is that everybody has deep, dark desires, and what this is doing, it's bringing out. I'm not saying that everyone's going to go out and skull fuck someone and rape people and shit, but the point is, when you're making a film, you want to make it entertaining. You want to really exploit that idea that you're trying to bring to the table. And I think what he's doing here is he's really using the idea of the Allen virus as bringing out those desires in people. And what he's suggesting is that people are capable of doing anything. Right? They're really capable of doing anything, given the circumstances, right? Like, I mean, you hear about people like in reality of like women lifting up vans off their kids and shit. Like, there's weird things that happen in reality. But here, this is affecting your brain to the point where, if you had those desires, if you had these kind of thoughts, and I mean, everyone's thought about weird ass shit at some time. And I think that's kind of like, it's a very nihilistic idea because when you showcase that, it's fucking disturbing to see. Like, did this guy really think about skull fucking somebody? Like, I mean, but the point he's trying to make is that people are capable of doing things. And this virus is bringing that out of people. And it's actually a really interesting idea.
It's also making them sad.
It's
that's exactly it right there. Like, the part that I gravitate towards the most is the fact that these people are like committing these atrocities, but they're consciously aware at the same time that they're committing these, so they're fucking crying about it.
Well, that's
I think
the beauty
that's
of this movie though,
the
because
yeah.
it's affecting one part of your brain, but your other part of your brain, which has that maybe that emotions and stuff. So this one's affecting your desires, but your emotions are still there. You're fully aware of what you're doing, but you can't. But the desire, the effectiveness of and bringing out the desires is so overwhelming that you can't get away from that. And that's kind of the point of this. I think that's a really brilliant idea, man. It's really interesting.
I think that's what separates this one as like kind of a unique take on the infected genre because of that whole element, like, the tears streaming down the face. Like it's powerful imagery, you know what I mean?
But I think also the fact that they don't act like your traditional zombies, like a lot of infection movies do. Like they run around, they talk to you and like can carry around a conversation, but they're still sadistic as fuck.
They're creepy.
It
actually comes off very creepy. Like even the first outbreak scene in the diner or whatever with the face melty, and then the old woman. Like that old woman is creepy as hell, and then that dude in the car is all creepy as hell.
Yeah, the part where the old lady gets hit by the car, and then he like runs up, and the person in the car also is sick, and then the person on top of the car is like watching them.
But that whole scene just escalates so crazily. Like they're in the diner, and the dude like picks up that basket full of fucking hot fries, just fucking annihilates that dude, and that practical effect is so sick. But then it goes outside, and then the dude hits the guy with the car, and he fucking explodes, and then someone's jumping off the building, and oh my god, it's like it just escalates to the point you're like, damn, dude, what the fuck? It's just batshit, dude. Like it's one thing you take away from this movie, like when you have this idea.
They do not like pull any punches with this movie, man.
No, practical effects all over the place, and just like really brought it to the forefront of like horrific scenes. Like it's non-stop horrific scenes.
Stabbing, dude, is fucking brutal.
Yeah, I loved how like mean-spirited it was. That was definitely my favorite part about it. And what really made it stand out to me is like it just like.
But I do like the idea that he brought in, the reality of, reality.
That's also like what I liked about it, because I think like a lot of these outbreak movies go wrong is like you have characters that like immediately get with the situation. Not to say that there wouldn't be people that are like, oh shit, like this is what's going down, I accept it. But like I don't think that's the average person. And this movie really took the time to like actually like put like carry the gravity of the situation, and just like showed people like freaking out, like sad, like upset, where instead of just like kind of quickly moving into like survival, like a survival movie.
Right. I think the core of this has got to be, it's got to be influenced by, I mean, obviously, I feel like the end of the movie has got that heavy Night of the Living Dead influence to it. Obviously, it's very downbeat and nihilistic, but even like the beginning part of the film, it has this very, very deep contrast to like Dawn of the Dead. The opening scene in Dawn of the Dead, where even Romero's in the scene, and he's like, he's doing the TV stuff, and they're broadcasting what's going on, and they're all freaking out and shit, and it's just like chaos, right? It's fucking chaos. Well, there's a scene in this film where our main character, he's doing his thing, he's getting ready for his day and stuff, and he clicks on the YouTube, and he clicks on a video of a doctor talking about the Allen virus, right? And he's like, hey guys, like fucking seriously, like this shit is getting out of control, and it's going to start to mutate, and it's going to get a lot worse. But if you guys watch that scene, it's super key in the film, because it's that contrast of like how our reality was treating the whole COVID thing. People were they weren't taking it serious. They were laughing. The interviewer in that scene is literally laughing. He's laughing. He's like, well, this guy's a fucking idiot. He's laughing and shit. I'm like, oh, that's such a great scene, man. And then like 5 minutes later, it just goes fucking batshit. It completely goes out of control. And it's like that contrast between reality of what we were just going through and what's in the film and stuff. And it felt like Dawn of the Dead to me, but in a modern times, like in this, different type of, it's not a zombie film, but infection film and stuff. But I had that Dawn of the Dead kind of vibe. And then of course, throughout the end of the movie is 100% Night of the Living Dead. Like absolutely 100% Night of the Living Dead. the way this
I like
thing ends up. And I love that. And I just feel like that ending is so perfect because of how nihilistic this movie really is. It's already so downbeat. It's so heavily just brutal. And you're just witnessing these humans that have these emotions and are doing these outrageous fucking things. Like when he says her eyeball juice is still drying on my dick, I fucking like, I seriously like can't even fucking, I laughed both times. Like I've seen this movie 3 times, I think now. And I laughed every time. I was like, oh my God, it's just so fucking brutal, man.
It's one thing brutal. I like, that's like another thing like about the nihilism in this movie is like when, what's the main guy's name? Jim? Like after the diner massacre shit and he gets back to the apartment and like the police loudspeaker that goes over the entire city starts telling people like do this, do that, and then immediately that person becomes sad, and then for the next 10 minutes while he's being attacked by his neighbor, all you hear is the loudspeaker just laughing the entire time, like a maniacal laughter.
Yeah.
So like just that on top of it, like that's just the beginning, and you're already completely fucked.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool how it gets transferred though. Like it's a really interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I love that it starts as a dormant virus, something that like everybody has, but everybody acts like nothing's bad, just like the COVID parallel, and then all of a sudden just something you can just click and all of a sudden bam.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
So what did you think, Tyler, since it's the first time watch?
I like that it was more personal than most infection films. Like I was saying, like I think a lot of movies like have a tendency to get off the rail and get action, and this didn't really do that. It was definitely more about the characters, and they like took more time to build up like relationships with characters and like kind of just like storylines that like matter with these people. So you actually like they weren't just like body bags. Like they felt like worse when awful things happened to them. And that was like the real punch of this movie that like I'm gonna remember. I really like the simplicity of just like the black eyes. It serves the purpose really well here, and it's also
it's
just
that
like,
deep dark desires, right? I think the eyes really accentuate that whole idea of like bringing out that fucking nastiness in the humans.
And the emptiness that's left,
and the emptiness exactly.
Yeah, it's a nice,
but it's a weird contrast again because like they have that emotion, but like they're so filled with like fucking hate. Like everything that comes out of that dude's mouth is just brutal. Like he's fucking
I felt like too, like it kind of like delved into that point where like it got like so fucked up that I wanted you to like almost like uncomfortably like snicker a little. I thought there was
he calls every woman a cunt in the film. Like it's just fucking brutal, dude.
I think like on top of it all, there was also like a nice little layer of like dark humor that like
there's definitely dark humor.
Oh, for sure, dude. Like I mean, he skull fucks a girl and then talks about the juices.
I like movies like this and like something I don't know, like something like a Ebola syndrome that can get like so fucking like disgusting and violent and still like
that's what I said the first time I watched it.
Exactly.
I had the contrast to Ebola syndrome. I was like, that had to have been a little bit of an influence in this too. Like you got these people just going around. It just feels like you're raging around and you're almost like spreading the rage by doing all this crazy. But like in Ebola syndrome, that's literally what he's doing. It's fucking crazy.
Like I love this stuff like with the little girl and the eyeball. Like there's just it was pretty awesome. I know this is a movie like I would like show to people to just be like, oh, you want to see a real you want to see a real new horror movie, huh?
My wife watched it with me this time. I watched it alone the first time. She loved it. She gave it 5 stars. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
Like, she understood, and it was really hard to watch, but she really loved the theme. She loved how everything turned out. She loved the relationship between Kat and Jim. It's just a really well-made movie beyond like the fucked up shit that happens.
This was definitely one of like the few like COVID movies that like I felt like actually like got like mentioned and like was a standout during that period where
it definitely was one of the movies people were championing.
Movies in general around that time I think were definitely like not great. I remember like I forgot, it was probably earlier this year. I remember looking at like the Oscar nominees in like 2021 or 2022 and I was like, this is like an embarrassing list of movies.
God, fuck the Oscars.
It's so bad. Like it's funny, like the more I've like gotten into film and like seen like movies that won a million, like a bunch of Oscars and more. I'm just like, who is voting in these things? We watched
the Academy, bro.
We watched that movie Slumdog Millionaire a few years ago. Me, both of you, my girlfriend, were just like, that movie was bad.
Yeah, that shit made no sense, man.
This won 8 Oscars. This won Best Writing.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I just like
it's because it, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was so huge at the time, and like fuck, it's all a popularity contest, bro. Like that shit's fucking stupid, man. Like this is the type of shit that would never make a point of. Which I'm glad though. I don't want this shit at the Oscars. Fuck the Oscars.
Oh my god! I remember
there's not too many head explosions that compete with like Scanners, but this movie does one.
The president
with the grenade in the mouth, where the fucking general fucking just obviously snaps and fucking
that scene is so fucking awesome,
dude.
Like how everybody is just watching the TV.
Best head explosions ever, dude. It's
I just
so
watched
fucking good.
Deadly Friend the other day, and Mama Fratelli's head exploding is pretty good.
Oh, the basketball.
That's also 10 out of 10 head explosion.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 in cinema history, and like, yeah, those are all fucking very notable.
I think my favorite head explosion, hands down, is in Maniac.
Yeah, that one's so good. And that's the other one. Yeah.
God, that one is so disgusting because his like head just like peels back.
Yeah. That's where the term getting your cap peeled comes from.
It's because that scene is so interesting because like
Tom Savini kills Tom Savini.
Yeah, like when Savini shoots that fucking shotgun, he only had one shot. Like they actually used a real slug there, right? Yeah, so he had to fucking hit it. That's why the head explosion turns out the way it is. It looks real because it was a real slug. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think the Prowler is the same way with that head explosion. Yeah, I think they used a real shotgun for that.
Yeah, too. They did. I saw like they talk about that in that documentary. Like, I think it's called like Nightmares on Red, White, and Blue, like the rise and fall of the American slasher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they filled it. Yeah, they filled it with a bunch of gross shit and like fish guts, stuff like that, and just shot it with a real shotgun.
Yeah,
that's a good doc.
Yeah, it is a good one. Yeah,
but you're confusing it with Rise and Fall of the slasher film. I think it's just American horror.
Oh. It is. I think it is just.
Isn't there 2 different docs? One's just on slashers, and one.
That's Rise and Fall of a slasher film, but the Red, White, and Blue is just like horror, American horror. I think.
Yeah, I watched them both. Those are both kind of like gateway movies for me.
Yeah, I used to do a segment on 22 Shots way back in the day called Horror 101, and I reviewed that. I think I reviewed all those documentaries pretty much.
Yeah, those are. I didn't know shit about horror. Like this was probably like 2010. I didn't know like shit about like anything but like the most surface level horror back then. And I remember like, watching that. And
I feel like that Red, White, and Blue documentary is probably like one of the first ones that really like did the rounds on Netflix streaming.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the first ones I watched on that. Like 10 years ago or so. Shit, probably 15 years ago or however old that movie is.
Yeah. So I guess we should also mention that this is a partner label release for Shudder, which recently joined the label, the Vinegar Syndrome website, I think like 2 months ago or so.
I think this is the second release, right? The first one was the
Brooklyn 45.
Brooklyn 45, yeah. Which I did not pick up. I'm not. I liked it, but I'm not going to buy that movie.
Yeah, I'm not buying that movie.
I'm not going to buy that movie at a premium.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's actually there's not that many like Shudder films that are like must buy at a premium price for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Sadness was probably one of the most interesting.
Are they all going to come like this? Like in these slide boxes and like just crazy editions? Like, I mean, how did Brooklyn 45 come like this one?
Nah, that was just a Blu-ray and a standard slip.
Okay, so they did a little bit, but it wasn't a 4K though, right? So maybe that's why they did the Sadness like this, because it is a 4K.
Yeah, that just seems to be like the Vinegar Syndrome, like 4K, like method is this hard case plus a slip case.
I'm starting to think though, like when you put them on the shelf and stuff, if you see one of these hard box things, it's it's a 4K. I think that's what they're. If you have, I don't know if did it sell out or are they gonna just put it out as a standard? I have no idea what they're gonna do.
I think this did sell out.
It sold out.
Actually, it sold out. Yeah, you're right. It did. So
just put it out.
So I guess we can't recommend it. Then?
No, you can get it.
No, you can still get.
You can buy it it'll just look like this.
Oh, okay, yeah. Which I think the slip covers on here are actually really cool. I like the artwork on these too. Yeah.
I like the outer case a lot.
But I mean, this is fine too. I mean, if you just get the standard, I think it looks really good too.
I think out of the Shudder films, there's a few that I wouldn't mind getting.
There is a few. There's definitely a few that I would like to get.
Was that Spanish film everybody liked last year's Shudder movie? I forgot what it was called. When Evil Lurks. Was that a Shudder movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll probably.
That's the one.
I mean, there is a release out there for it, but I'm sure it'll get a premium one. So, but yeah, that's one I would pick up. I would pick that one up. I like that one.
I want to feel bad.
It takes me a lot to pick up like modern stuff like that. Like I really have to love it. So
yeah, I've barely picked up like any modern films from any of the companies really. I think like one of my favorites was Tragedy Girls. Honestly, whoever put that out.
Yeah, who did put that out? I picked that one up too. That movie's sweet.
I know there was a Canadian release with it was in a double feature with MIA.
I think it was like Gunpowder in Sky or something.
Yeah, that's right. They put out a premium edition. Right.
I'll pick up modern films from Criterion, but a lot of the time it's like movies that just like were independent and didn't get like a distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like A24 movies sometimes. Stuff like that.
It is Gunpowder in Sky.
Yeah, that's what it sounds about right. I don't buy a lot.
That's the only one I have.
Maybe I don't even know if I have any.
Any other thoughts on Sadness?
Yeah, like one of the most brutal parts in the film for me is when the fucking doctor at the end changes and he looks at the fucking girl and he says, "I enjoyed killing those babies."
Yeah, that's creepy, bro.
Just the fact that there's just like a fucking bin full of infected babies that are just chilling in the trash can that they're just chilling right there. Whatever, no problem.
But I just love like he says that shit and then the end happens and you're like, oh my god, this fucking movie, man, it's so good. I love it.
I like the baseball player scene with the baseball bats and the scythe and them fucking they pulled
beating that dude up.
They pulled a faculty on that guy with barbed wire.
Oh yeah,
the beginning of the faculty,
bro. They're ramming his nuts, and he's
Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Why'd you stop? I was about to blow my load. Or the fuck
why'd you stop? I was about to shoot my load.
Dude.
Oh my god, dude, it's fucked up, man.
Yeah, you just don't realize that he's like infected the entire time, and he's just like loving it.
Yeah. But I gotta agree though, like I think one of the greatest scenes I've seen in a long time is the train scene. It's so obnoxiously violent and brutal. You're just like, oh my god, it's fucking amazing.
There's blood everywhere.
And it looks so good. Like the violence looks good. It's shot well, it's edited well. Too. The color of the blood's good. And there's so fucking much of it, dude. It's just a massacre.
And the acting, like one thing I really enjoyed about that subway scene is when the dude just starts like stabbing people. Like people aren't really like, they're confused at first, and then they're just powering.
It's natural.
That's why
right?
It's like such a great scene because it's it's claustrophobic and like think about it. Like if you're in a train car and some motherfucker pulls out a knife and starts stabbing people, like there isn't a lot of room to move around to get away from a sharp blade. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's horrifying, dude.
And there aren't a lot of brave people to like bum rush the attacker either. Like a lot of people just flee.
I know.
And be scared.
That's like, wow.
But at least they had, people that, came to a rescue and pinned them down and stuff like that. And like, there was people doing the right thing. So like the decisions weren't stupid. Like everyone didn't just back off into a corner and act like a fucking pussy.
Right. Exactly.
Like, people acted real. People acted real. Yeah.
Yeah. Like some people helped, some people were scared, but then, like it felt very real.
It did, man. It's edited so well though. Like the way it like, oh dude, I love how it kind of slow moves the scene with what becomes kind of our main villain in the film, kind of the face of the film, right?
The businessman. Yeah, we haven't even talked about him.
Dude, his character is so fucking like they cast that guy perfect because he just looks maniacal. Yeah. And it's great because he's like this very kind of timid guy, and you can tell he's a little bit creepy. He's always got these deep, dark desires and stuff. And he's like, I've seen you on the train before.
That dude is so scary and so like insane. Like to me, I've only seen the movie twice. Like he's already like iconic in my mind. Like this dude is like a big fucking deal. Like I would dress up like this guy for Halloween.
Not only does this guy have some like really vicious kills, and like I love the scene where he puts when they lock him in the garage door or whatever, and then he peeks out and he's got his fucking tongue. He's like, "I'll see you later." He's fucking licking his tongue.
Hell yeah, that part reminded me of Freddy Krueger.
It did. That's exactly what I said. But he's got so many iconic like memorable lines, you know, with the I've mentioned a couple times about the eyeball juice and stuff, and he's just got a vicious mouth. But everything he says in every scene, but his demise in the film is fucking nuts too. Like that's a crazy gore scene, man. Holy fuck. I don't know. There's something about fire extinguishers and deaths that I always like. Always works for me, but
oh yeah, best one since Irreversible. Then probably.
Yeah, totally right. Yeah.
Speaking of baby carnage, dude, did you catch that like one scene where they're walking down the street and he's like walking past the stroller and there's just like a pile of meat in the stroller?
100%.
Fucking gross.
Yeah.
Another thing that like grossed me out, like when the girl Cat and the doctor were leaving and whoever it was like took the axe and chopped his foot in half.
Oh, yeah,
and then grabbed his stump and just puked all over the stump. That was that was like the most cringe-inducing thing I saw in the entire movie. It's so gross.
Also, our lead character loses like 2 fingers at the beginning of the movie.
Oh,
yeah,
God, I hate that.
Yeah,
part.
with the fucking she just casually just walks it off.
Oh, that kills me. He immediately grabs the one finger, chews it up till it's nothing, and spits it in the fish tank.
Oh, that's just the appetizer.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk about the gore scenes all day on this film. It really does get into it quite well. And you know, that's the thing. The pacing in this film is really good too. Like, there's really no downtime in it. There's always stuff going on, and like you know, it's not one of those films where it just focuses straight on the gore. Like, there is a story to it, right? And it develops through the whole film too. But it's got really good pacing. It never. You know, I mean, I kind of made the joke one time about this. I was like, you know what this movie is? It's just a romance disguised as a fucking infection film. So, I mean, I'm not gonna.
To me.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you put it that way, it's kind of funny. It actually adds to the black comedy of it, really. And no, it's just a romance film, but it's disguised as a fucking
like Calvert.
Major violent, yeah. Dude, I don't know, man. Fuck that movie.
That movie's so funny for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. It like, you know, if you take that movie as a straight comedy, well, dark comedy, it works very well.
No, it doesn't. You guys are fucking insane.
That movie is not meant to be serious. There's no.
It is.
No, it's not. It's not actually. I've heard other people even say this after it. I never looked into it, and other people have said it's totally a dark comedy.
Give a damn what other.
I'm on JP's side when it comes to Calvert. I thought that movie is creepy as fuck, and I didn't laugh once.
Dude, that movie is meant to be a dark comedy, 100%.
They would have not.
If it's meant to be serious, I hate that movie with a passion. Then, but if it's meant to be a dark comedy, I love it.
They would not have put the drunken rednecks like at the bar that just start acting up and dancing for each other.
Dude, that scene is
that's what drunken rednecks do, bro.
That's what they're funny.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe they do in Belgium.
Yeah,
he's been to a Belgian pub.
Just these rustic Belgian country guys drinking their pints. Just like,
So let me ask you guys: did anybody check out any of the commentaries that are on here? Because there's 3.
Hell no.
Right.
Nah,
so we have.
I watched everything but the commentaries.
He's like, I've watched.
There's a feature commentary with the director and the composer. There's a feature commentary with a critic, Simone Abrams, and feature commentary with the director and medical advisor, Shu. Just
medical advisor. That's wild.
So I'm assuming
I've seen a commentary with the.
So I'm assuming advisor. Maybe people had some fucking crazy shit going on.
It's like, yeah, how could a skullfuck actually work? I need some advising on that.
I will recommend though, like the booklet in here. It's actually pretty cool. You don't really see a lot of like storyboards. I don't know if people are really that interested in the storyboards and shit, but I think that's kind of cool. But
storyboards are pretty cool.
But they're actually
that's sweet because they're like really close to like what was actually executed.
Yeah, and then of course there's an essay in here that breaks down things too. It gives a long synopsis and stuff like that. But I mean, I always read these things. I know, unlike JP doesn't, because he doesn't have a fucking audio book for them.
Dude, I'm a slow reader, man.
Yeah. So it's good though. I always read them. I think they're fun. But yeah, the sadness, man. This is one of my favorites, man. I loved it. I could watch this shit all the time. It's bad shit.
It's pretty good.
It is good. So, you guys have anything else? Ratings or?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I'm ready to pop off.
All right, Tyler, what do you give it? First time watch, what do you give it?
Well, pretty darn good. It's a standout from a period, comes right in the middle of a 3-year period that was a pretty down time for horror movies in general. It's definitely one of the standouts. I think it's pretty rewatchable. I like it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Tony.
10.
JP.
It's a masterpiece. It's one of the best movies of the decade, and by the time the decade's over, it'll remain one of the best movies of the decade.
Yeah, JP. I fucks with it. Not quite at a 10. Maybe a couple more watches could get it to a 10. I don't give out 10s really too easy. I gave it a 9.
Yeah, I don't think about that too much. It's 10 for me. It's actually one of my favorite movies since the millennium. So last 24 years. This movie, as of right now, if I was to make a top 10 for movies in the last 24 years, this might even be in there. I love this movie. I think it's fucking great.
It better be in there.
Yeah, the movie checks literally every fucking box. Like, there's nothing I can even remotely like say bad about it. Everything is good.
It literally is everything good. Like, the score is good, the acting is good. It has all practical. Well, I mean, there's one scene where someone jumps off a building and hits the ground. You can tell but it's not like full blown. It's good. It's a good effect.
I still thought it looked good.
It does look good. But I mean, the gore in this film is crazy. It's got a fucking legit story. It's got a nice contrast to our actual reality. It's got memorable characters. It's got memorable lines. Like you even remember dialogue, man. Like, fuck, dude. This is we're reading this shit, dude, and you remember that. But like, everything about this, the setting is really good. It's got great pacing. There's nothing wrong with this movie. There really isn't. So,
social commentary.
Yeah, it's just packed full of it. I mean, there's a great scene actually that we didn't talk about, like even with the neighbor when he says like, "Oh man, this whole shit's just a hoax," or whatever he says, and I'm just like, "Oh man, that was the mentality of so many people." And like, you either believed it or you didn't. It's like, but again, it's that contrast of our reality. It's like, fuck, that's how people thought.
It's how people think. You know what I mean? It's just real life how everything is.
But he even went as far as to say at one point in the film where he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm good. It's just a common cold. I got a little snivels." It's like, oh, shit. It's like, yeah, it's good. But whatever.
Yeah, you knew when he said that. It's like, all right, you're going to be one of the first ones.
Yeah, 2 minutes later. He wasn't getting any more basil out of him.
Motherfucker is still trimming the damn basil because he's still holding the damn shears.
Yeah.
It's like he wasn't even able to take like 3 breaths.
Yeah. Again, like, I mean, even shot like I said, I was talking about the editing on the train scene, but like this movie's shot really well. There's a lot of good tracking shots. There's a lot of really good stuff.
I also like just the locations, you know what I mean? Like the city, the subway, the like fielded area with the basketball court.
Well, yeah, you get to see a lot of it too. Like literally when Buddy's on his moped or whatever, you get to see the tracking shots, and they're like, there's a cool scene where him and his girlfriend are riding on the bike and stuff, and it slows right down, and you get to see this crazy fucking car. And it's actually brought up I think that's the baby scene. Actually, they see the scene, and he apologizes after. Oh, fuck, man, I'm sorry that I slowed down there, but but I mean, but again, that's showing the human nature of people, because we're super curious. Like, we're going to slow down and see that. You have to see that shit to understand, right? Like, that's the fucking carnage that that we're living in right now. And like, you can't just like turn a blind eye. You have to fucking see that to possibly make it out of this, right? Because if you don't understand shit, man, like it's just going to be fatal for you. So, but it's cool. I love this movie. Absolutely love this movie.
Good movie.
Yeah, didn't even touch on the fact that the subway scene was completely made on a set that they built.
Really?
I didn't.
Yeah, that wasn't even in a real subway.
Yeah. But again, that goes to the cinematography and how well they did it, because I would have never have known without that information. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's one like behind the scenes like featurette that's about the subway scene that they built and everything. It was really interesting.
I guess they knew that going into it, it was going to be so much carnage with blood and stuff. They're like, if we actually use a real train, we're going to spend half our budget cleaning that shit up, because that's what you eventually have to do. And that's the problem with shooting on locations when you have a bloody scenes and stuff and carnage and shit. Like, you literally have to clean that up. Like, you have to pay people. That's part of your budget. So if you build shit, which is probably cheaper than paying people to do this and renting out locations to do, right? You got to think of the cost value in this, right? So it probably made more sense to actually build the set. So, but again, that goes, what I said, like, I would have never known. It's beautiful. Absolutely amazing. Great film. So that's got to be, this is episode 7.
Yep.
How many featured reviews have we just gushed over? I think this is probably the first one.
Gushed? Yeah, definitely gushed would be.
This is definitely the strongest consensus for sure.
Yeah, it's the strongest. I feel like I gushed over Dr. Terror's House of Horrors because that was the first time watch for me.
I was pretty behind Southern Comfort.
Southern Comfort too. I forgot.
Game's a good bit.
Of course, I gush over that one. Holy shit.
Fatal Game. Fuck, man. Actually, we did some good feature reviews. I was thinking. I kept thinking Touch, because Touch is just so damn fucking disappointing.
Touch was definitely the oddball out so far.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like a light couple months.
Yeah, Touch was.
Speaking of featured reviews, I guess we should talk about what we're doing next month, even though we mentioned it earlier in the show.
Well, I was going to say, I guess we're not doing our favorite release of the month because we just recommended a bunch of shit and stuff. And I mean, it's obviously.
Yeah, it would be the sadness.
It's the sadness.
It's the sadness.
Yeah, it's the sadness.
Wins by default here, yeah.
Yeah, easy sadness.
But next month, which is pretty much this month in a minute.
Yeah, I know.
We'll be back soon, probably. Once I think we're just waiting on Tyler.
Nope.
Never mind.
Oh god, shit.
Yeah, since in the 4 days my stuff shipped and showed up.
All right. Well, I guess we can just do it in like an hour. Let's
we might as well just do it tonight.
No. So what is everybody doing?
Blood Cult, which honestly I could probably talk about that tonight.
I actually think I'm doing.
No, I haven't watched the Blu-ray, but I've seen it plenty of times.
Oh yeah.
I think we talked about it possibly earlier in the show. I don't think we actually fully went into it, but
we mentioned it, but we didn't.
I'm doing. They Call Me Macho Woman.
Yeah, from the VSA.
Yeah,
release. Tyler's doing the VSL.
Yeah, the anti-communism Polish movie that was banned for 7 years.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool.
And I was either gonna do 8 Eyes or Repticulous. I think I'm probably gonna go with Repticulous just because it's like a nice 4K.
I actually watched the guy's review on it today, and it made me laugh. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but and then the featured reviews, doing another double feature, is going to be Chinese Torture Chamber 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Which none of us have seen.
No, and I believe the first one we said was a Cat 3 film, so
yeah, these look fucking awesome.
Gotta be cool, man.
Yeah, looking forward to that. That'll be a fun show. So that will be coming in August. And then we're about to actually get our August releases announcement in just a couple days after recording this.
Yeah.
Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another VSA of a Hong Kong action I saw. Like a double feature.
Double feature, yeah.
Dude, that's dope.
And then 2 cinematographs. And then it might be a I'm not sure. What was the Hell Trap or something? Is that what you said it was?
Yeah, Hell's Trap, that last of the Galindo Mexican like horror shit that needs released.
Yeah.
But then apparently there's a 70s like drive-in horror classic that's going to come out on 4K too.
For August?
Mm-hmm.
That'll probably be the featured review.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, where'd Moodz go?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm excited for people to check out Hell's Trap. It's pretty sweet.
What year is that?
I think it's like early 90s, maybe 90 or 91.
Cool.
Like the guy who's like killing them looks pretty sweet. Like he's in a bunch of like army fatigues and he's got like long hair.
Is it like a slasher or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like a slasher, kind of like backwoods, like survival horror movie. I would put it in the same realm as like a Hunter's Blood or
I like stuff like that.
Like The Ritual. It's pretty sweet. And yeah, he's got like Freddy knockoff razor hands and shit.
Oh yeah, you were telling us about that. Yeah. Yeah, so that should be cool. But yeah, I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's going to conclude episode 7.
I feel like this one's going to end up long, right?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this one's got to be over 4 hours. I have no idea. I don't know how long this recording is or how long it was before we started recording, but I think that bounce was like 3.5. So yeah, this one's gonna be long. And we were like, this one's gonna be a short one. It's gonna be a fucking short one. And then Tyler decided to review every movie in full.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, you did have like what 5 feature reviews.
Yeah, we took I don't know. I feel like I took like 20 minutes, 30 minutes on mine.
How long did I take? I didn't even got carried away.
Like an hour.
Probably an hour.
I don't know. It's fine though. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, to talk about movies, right? Talk about movies. But
yeah, I guess that's it, right?
That's gonna be everything, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next month. It'll be sooner than later because this one's coming out a little bit later, but that's just the way shit goes, man.
Yeah. Overall, I'm pleased that we've been consistent with getting one out every month. It's been going pretty smooth. I mean, we've done this a half a year already, so
yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Pretty cool. All right.
I guess that's it. We're out of here. Deuces.